Welcome, guys, gals, gays, and theys, to the Hangout
I'm one
Quest
of those.
podcast. I am Alex, and I'm here with a surprise guest, my friend Cole.
Oh, hello. Happy Pride.
Yeah,
You fucking cis het.
true. Yeah, happy
Hey,
Pride,
we're
everyone. I
working
am
on it.
really excited. But yeah, I am unfortunately pretty straight. My friends don't let me get away with that nowadays, but that is true.
It's okay.
We've got Cole here
Genshin
though.
has done a lot towards your therapy.
It really, Genshin has awoken a lot in me. I cannot believe how willing I am to fight Camry about how hot Alhaitham is, and that's I don't know, I don't know, man. It really has done something for me. But
It's alright. I'm one of the problematic people that like Genshin typically doesn't do anything for me, and the only character that actually does do anything for me is the fan art of I say do anything for me as in the males. Because I'm not as big of a fan of the general like twink and
oh
oversaturation of
no,
femboy.
you're not a Twink
Uh,
fan?
Not overly.
I guess I knew this
I've
about you. I
yeah,
guess
I've
I knew
discovered
this.
that I'm
Yeah.
definitely more of an Otter fan if I'm looking at like romantic partners, and Diluc is unfortunately like right in that wheelhouse, especially with the
Oh
artists that
jeez.
depict him. I know
Ah
because
jeez. Yeah.
they do less of the look. I'm kind of like Axel from Kingdom Hearts and Batman put together, and a lot more of the yeah, I'm kind of an outlander. And for some reason that matches his like get up so much better.
I I can't argue with you, but that's yeah.
He
I
definitely
am
he fits better as I'm the local savior of this area around a winery way more than I'm the Batman of this city.
which is really unfortunate because that's what his story quest is. I am Batman. It's
It's
crazy.
so
Yeah,
Batman.
it's so Batman. I guess we should mention that you are not a Genshin enjoyer. You're here as a Genshin outsider. You're a gamer. You've tried Genshin, but
I
you have
have.
not. You're not. You haven't been got by Genshin like
I'm
like
here.
the
I'm
rest of
here to
us.
fix the podcast with my truth. Like with that,
Right. Right.
I will say out the front that I understand the appeal to Genshin.
Right.
I had to quit because it kind of had the same bug that infects me that Warframe does, in that
Mm-hmm.
it's very easy to want to keep working on your dailies and get those itty bitty little incremental like progresses towards new characters and new builds.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely. That's what it's all about.
I didn't enjoy it as much as Warframe. So the idea is like if my life goes to shit every single time I get hooked on Warframe, then I shouldn't be doing that for a game I like slightly less.
Yeah.
Um,
That's a yeah. I mean, fair enough.
yeah,
I
yeah.
get it. You're really just not there for it.
Honestly, I wonder. I forget her fucking name. The Archon of Nature, uh,
Nahida,
Nahida.
the little one.
I started when she released when she was banner, and I wonder how much longer I would have played if the quality of life of her little harvesting thing had if I had rolled her. Like if that quality of life change for just collecting trash in the world,
It wouldn't have
I wonder
changed
how much
much. I swear.
would it not have?
It's not that useful.
Is it not? Okay.
It's not. It's useful for like a couple. There's a couple of things in the world that are like grow on cliff faces and stuff that are like really kind of really annoying to get that she helps with, but in the end like her grab like range isn't that high. So like if you're just running through a field collecting flowers, it's not like you can like stand at the top of the hill and get all the flowers you can see. Like it's kind of a
Right.
shorter range than that, so like it's not that useful. You,
Yeah, I would have been happy if it was somewhere in between. I was at the point of the skill tree where like the mushrooms that grow off of places was really important. So I
mm,
think it might have still gotten me in for a couple more weeks, but I am glad that my efforts to get my like 50-50 first couple week 5-star character was not entirely broken. That was another thing. I
yeah.
had horrible luck with my draws.
Yeah, I
I
remember. You did get a
You know,
beta though, and beta's
that's true.
really hot. So I'm
That's true.
surprised you didn't. I'm surprised, honestly. but
Yeah. Well, I this will end up coming out. I have like Ichi doesn't like insinuated hotness doesn't do a lot for me.
I see.
Genshin gives me the base models, and then the fan artists do what I need Genshin to do.
I see.
If,
Yeah,
If
that's
Genshin
fair.
were like that, then it'd be one of the best games of all time. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's Breath of the Wild, but worse
Oh man. I feel like you would
and more
like
expensive.
some of the story quests and stuff, but
I'm
it's a
sure I
big
would.
investment for something you probably wouldn't get that much out of. Like I bet that if Genshin if you just decided it was your main game, you would probably be pretty happy. It's just that it wouldn't, it it, it, it wouldn't be everything you ever needed though, So I, I don't know. There's like a slight misalignment here. I feel like, but I think you're close. You could have liked it a lot.
Yeah. In that, I will reach over the aisle and hopefully remediate, kind of rehab this podcast in
Right.
steering away from Genshin.
We love
Uh, with,
Genshin. We love Genshin here. So
with a reach across the aisle with ZZZ. Side note: are we calling it Zenless or are we calling it the other, like the other two? I feel like we could. ZZZ is clunky as fuck as as a
I
shortening.
don't know, man. I've been
Zenless, I
calling it
like.
ZZZ.
Yeah, so we're going to fix this real quick.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
ZZZ sounds so incredibly pretentious and also worse to shorten it.
That's It's not like I
Zenless,
disagree, but
yeah, like
continue.
we can shift this into like either similar syllables that don't sound as stupid, or fewer syllables that sound cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just call it Zenless for now,
Zenless.
because the
We
other
can do that.
I remember that. I also forget the like second two words.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. It's zone zero, but yeah,
Zone
I get
Zero.
Zenless zone zero. Yeah, I mean it's very
Okay,
dumb.
Zone Zero does sound like yeah. I feel like Zenless and Zone Zero could have both been better. It feels like there's an implied semicolon there that
I
makes the
see.
title so bad.
I don't know. I mean, who knows? There might even be one. Dude, I don't know, man.
Maybe, but then you can't call it ZZZ. It's ZZZ.
Ah, true.
So dumb.
So what's your reach around here? What's the olive
My
branch?
reach, my reach. Um, it is that I would imagine like if I'm going into the Hoyoverse at all, this is like the only chance to do so.
Hmm. Okay.
And I looked up like some of the people playing like the longer forms of the first, I don't know, 2 hours that they give to the beta testers or
Right.
whatever.
There have been a couple beta tests. There's been like two
Yeah.
or three now, which I
Uh,
haven't been a part of any of them. But
to talk
I think
about the stuff that matters the least, uh, I feel like they rebuffed quote in quotations all the characters again,
ah
because some of the gameplay that I've seen, characters that I remember like there being mention of their bodice being reduced.
right.
I
They
feel like
nerfed a couple of them. Yeah.
they're ample, like they're plenty ample, and
Plenty
I feel
ample
like that
indeed.
there's a couple of characters that didn't have ample bodices that have become far more ample. I'm trying to remember. There's like, I think I'm remembering correctly. There's this gal with goggles and I think a grenade launcher that I
There
do not.
is.
Okay, I do
She's
not
gonna be the
remember.
first limited character, I believe.
Okay, I do
So
not remember her being that busty. Whenever we were looking at the nerfed characters,
I don't remember.
she's like the biggest cup size now. I swear to God.
I
Maybe
don't
they're just putting it on the limiteds.
I don't know what all happened. I know that the pink haired girl got nerfed, but that's the only one I really know about. I haven't followed ZZZ a ton. That's funny. It's funny that you mention this because I do have something a ZZZ related mini game for us to play later on in the
Oh boy.
podcast. But but the, so you're a little bit excited for ZZZ. That's interesting that you say that. Have you looked at Withering Waves at all?
I have not. I'm basically giving it the exact same like breadth that I gave Genshin when it came out like 6 years ago or whatever. Like Genshin's been around for so long.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's been 4 years, I believe. Like
4 years.
whenever
Okay.
I think that's not really true. I guess I think we've had our third anniversary was like earlier this year, so we're
It feels
working on
like
4 years.
it feels like maybe I'm saying 4 years because of like all the marketing materials. Because for a while they would just show the gliders and talk about how amazing this is for a mobile game, and it was literally just basically like a glider. So you see the
I've
problems
seen
with
it. Yeah, I think
that.
it feels longer because it started in COVID. So like of course, it
Yeah,
feels longer because it has been longer. It has been 100 years since 2020, but
right.
that's just kind of the way it is.
That's fair. Um,
But
so no, I
my
have not looked at Withering Wave.
That's
What?
it's interesting because Withering Waves is kind of an exact cross between something like ZZZ and or sorry, Zenless and Genshin, where there's a lot more fighting game aspects to it, but it is an open world like gotcha like Genshin. It's basically Genshin except the combat is like ZZZ where there's a lot more swap swap tech and like timing and
Right.
less emphasis on easier like the Genshin elemental system, for example. It's like
Fair.
it feels like a fighting game. It feels more like I didn't play lots of Dragon Ball Z, but I feel like something like that, Dragon Ball Z or Mortal Kombat, other fighting games where it's like that, but
Right.
with like Genshin characters basically as the characters instead, which is funny. I've been liking it. I'm about to put a video out as this is being recorded. I am just now kind of getting to. I've finished the like main campaign and I've been playing for like a week now. So I've been playing for a little bit and I like it. And I could see you liking it more than Genshin just because the combat's a lot more intriguing, but and you don't care about characters quite as much. But it's interesting that like I'm glad to hear you say you're gonna maybe try ZZZ. It's just interesting that Wuwa has come out right now, and it's also kind of a fighting game that you might be interested in.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe,
And
in,
you don't
gen-
have
in
to.
yeah,
You,
in
you,
general, I stay away from gotcha games like the plague,
I see. Yeah,
and I feel like the reason why I paid attention at all to Zenless was going to be that it was Hoyoverse, and everybody, like my entire friend group, is currently operating on some level in the Hoyoverse. So I was like,
yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
if there's
that's
a chance
absolutely
for
that's a
us
good
to have a
point.
game together, I know that's not
Yeah,
multiplayer, but
it probably is a little bit multiplayer, like the other ones. Like
yeah,
Genshin is multiplayer. It's just not very multiplayer. But
right.
it's interesting you say this. So this is I want to lead this into pretty much the main topic I had for tonight that I wanted to talk to you about, and that
Okay.
is game monetization. You say that you avoid gotcha games like the plague.
Yes.
I think you've got a very interesting outlook on game monetization, one that is quite different from mine. I would say obviously I'm a gotcha game player. I am a gambler, but I also like casinos and you do not. But this it honestly has nothing to do with monetization. So of games, my argument will come out. My point, what I wanted to get to first is as kind of an introduction to your relationship with games and monetization. You're super okay with playing a game way after it's released and like buying it on sale on Steam like years later. You are like immune to hype trains, like day one
Yeah.
releases. And
Yep. I've learned that there's a space on Reddit, r/patient gamers. There's more of me out there. There's
I
more of me
see.
out there.
Interesting. Well, I
I,
knew that
I
some of
found
you
my people.
existed out there. I didn't know how many. How many people are on that subreddit? Do you know off the top of your
I do
head?
not know off the top of
Okay,
my head.
that's funny.
It's not a
Uh,
popular one, which kind
I'm
of worries
guessing
me.
not. It's like it. I love hype trains, dude. Day one releases are like my thing. I love being part of the fandom, like on like during the wave, like during the rise of games. Like Elden Ring comes out, I am paying $70 to play that game immediately, and I want to, I want to be on the internet engaging with all of the like all the stuff that's coming out. And you just don't give a fuck, dude. You're just like, nah, I'll play that later. Like you just played
Later being
Dark
like
Souls
5 years
3.
later.
Yeah, literally. I think you played Dark Souls 3 last year, which is 6 years after its release. So,
Yes.
like, I cannot believe that you did. And that was a game you wanted to play. You were a
Yes.
Dark Souls 1 fan when Dark Souls 3 released, and you didn't play it. And I
That
cannot
is true.
believe that. I
And not
like,
only
can't
that,
believe
like
it.
I got the bundle for the Dark Souls games that was on Humble or whatever, and then played Dark Souls 1, which I think was like 12 years at that point or more
Yeah, dude,
back behind.
that game came out in like 2005 or something, dude. I'm not even sure. It came
Such a
out.
good
It
game.
was like a release game for PlayStation 3, I think. Whenever that happened.
Yeah, maybe. I'm trying to remember. That or
Okay,
Demon Souls was.
so my main argument, or like I've got this thesis I wanted to give to you to hear
Analyze
your
me,
feedback
baby.
on. I'm sorry, what?
Analyze me, baby.
I see. Perfect. Yes. So, because I really don't know how you're gonna react to this. I've been working on this thesis, and what it is. Let me give you a little spiel here.
Okay.
As far as game monetization value goes, my argument is, especially Hoyoverse games, but some other ones like even Withering Waves, which is a game I'm not really in love with. I've played it a lot, but it's not something that I'm like truly in love with right now. I think that these games have better monetization like value propositions than most AAA title games. Unless your name is like From Software or Larian Studios, the people who did like Baldur's Gate, I think that the most predatory gotcha games ever, kinda. I mean, Hoyoverse isn't the worst gotcha game ever, but like Hoyoverse is better at monetizing games than AAA title games from, especially from the West. But it's not like From Software. From Software is an exception over the entire world. It's not just like a not Western world thing. I'm saying that those games are worth more money, and but my argument is that especially for like $70 games, but $60 games too. Like I have been playing Genshin Impact for about 14 months now, pretty much to the day, and I've been a Welcome player this whole time, which is $5 a month. And if you do the math, that's $70. So, and you have been with me pretty much this entire time. You know how much enjoyment I have talked your ear off for this entire 14 months about how much I love Genshin Impact. And my argument is, find me the guy who loves what what's the Bethesda game that just came out?
Starfield, I think.
Starfield. Find me the
I
guy
I
who
only
loves
know that
Starfield as much as me. Like,
I
or as
only know that game title because my D&D group were memeing on we were talking about different things and we were memeing on the fact that none of us could remember the fucking title. Like we said, man, it's been forever since Bethesda released a game.
Yeah, really. Mm-hmm.
Like I genuinely said, it feels like when was the last time Bethesda released a game? It has been so long since Fallout 4. I said those words coming out of my
Oh
mouth
no,
like
you fool!
unironically. And I think I'm in the right for doing that. I was wrong, but I feel like
No,
I'll
you
still need
were
some
in the right.
convincing.
That's true. Yeah, so my argument is, find me the guy who likes Starfield as much as I like Genshin. Find me the guy who likes any of the most recent EA games that cost $75 to get the game without the day one DLC. Like, find me the guy who likes those games who has gotten as much enjoyment out of those games for $70 as I have for $70 for 14 months. And it's like Starfield, you buy the game for $70. 14 months later, that's when you'll be able to play the game because that's when they'll fix the game. Like These are my arguments for why
Right.
mobile game gotcha games are actually the best bang for your buck games out there. Like $5 a month is not that, like, of course it's predatory, you know, like they want you to, you know, you'll enjoy the game twice as much because you'll be able to get the characters you want. But even free to play players can get the characters they want, you know, they just have to be patient. And it's like, I know there's plenty of examples of free to play players out there who enjoy Hoyoverse games a ton. So, what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on me positing that AAA title games are actually worse than these gotcha mobile game gambling simulator games? Like, what do you think about that?
I think I'll start off by talking about the game that I play the most, the games I play the most.
Mhm.
And it's going to start off with me sounding super hypocritical. And
Okay,
I think I can
perfect.
talk myself out of that corner.
Okay,
Uh,
okay.
Magic the Gathering. I like card based, like trading card games. I like the strategy that comes with them. I like deck building. I like deck building. I also like just playing the good decks that people smarter than me find and then feeling smart whenever I pull their idea off.
Mhm.
Magic the Gathering being a primary example. And there's no argument that the system, at least in the material world, that those games function as anything other than gotcha games.
I mean, yeah, kind
And
of, pretty much.
yeah, I played Hearthstone out the ass right up until they basically pulled that whole we're going to buddy up with China's brutal oppression of the protests,
Hmm.
ping pong free Hong Kong and whatnot.
Right, I
That
remember actually. Yeah.
whenever they fight, yeah, well, like I think the real sticking point, because obviously we are so incredibly invested with Chinese companies, and I'm not saying that that's like a xenophobic, thing that we should avoid. I mean, look at look at Hoyvers. Um, but at the same time, I also think that there should be some level of integrity that we hold in our dealings with foreign companies, and one of those being don't don't like clearly fire streamers and like announcers that were very popular in your space for the sheer audacity of being on camera as somebody protests during a live event. I don't know if you know this or not. And maybe it'll refresh your memory. During Hearthstone Worlds, somebody held up a free like a free Hong Kong uh,
Hmm.
sign, and the two casters like ducked their heads and got off camera like as soon as it happened, and they still got fired because of
Dang.
pressure from Chinese investors. Like they were involved with the protest or whatever the hell, and people will argue a whole bunch. Well, their contracts just weren't renewed. Um, but it's a like, and Blizzard obviously has the right to do so, but I pretty well was like, okay, well, if you're going to punish people that didn't do anything, like that didn't do anything to the point where they arguably were feeding into the bad thing that you were supporting to begin with, like they did the nothing on your side,
Yeah,
uh,
I see what you're saying with those
then
guys. Yeah.
what the heck is the point? And then right after that, they like all the sexual abuse scandals came out, and Hearthstone's like balance went to absolute shit. So I was justified.
You're not
I
impressed
felt real
with
smart.
Activision.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
don't like Blizzard Activision
yeah,
very much.
exactly. But that's a whole big thing. But before that, I was playing the absolute dickens out of Hearthstone. And before Hearthstone was desperately trying to grab players, it was very greedy with its resources. Um, if you didn't pay money and played regularly, you'd be kind of lucky as a free to play player without skills in arena. You'd be kind of lucky to get one deck per season, just based off of the daily gold like income, based on how expensive the packs were and the amount of cards and rarity that would come out of them. Then I can't remember if Magic the Gathering Arena came out or if Riot's I forget what the big
Legends of Runeterra.
Legends of Runeterra. I think Magic came out first, and it was similarly stingy. Um, it was a little bit better, especially if you the real trick was that you had to kind of game the system to earn, like if you were free to play without spending any money, you had to kind of game the system to get into the mastery pass, and then once you got into the mastery pass, then your daily play was worth it. Um, and they've increased the value that you get out of that game from the jump, and now you can probably build, I'd say, 3 or 4 uh like meta standard decks each season, which is, I feel, plenty generous. That's definitely more than I can afford IRL. For
Mm.
free, I can play Magic
Arena.
the Gathering Arena and play 4 very powerful standard decks. When IRL, if I did the cheap way, which is to buy singles of the cards, I would be spending $200 per deck to do
Right.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then Legends of Runeterra was insanely generous. They were definitely doing the model that I'm sure you would agree is the most generous and like the least predatory out of all the models of monetization, which is basically let cosmetics pay for it, let people
Yeah.
play dress
That's
up.
Riot for you, dude.
Like, yeah,
That,
exactly. Like Riot, for all their faults, seems like the least predatory when it comes to the amount of money it takes, like the way it monetizes.
yeah. Also a Chinese
Uh,
company, by the way.
yeah, exactly. Like I feel like that's the bar that we're always going to end up going. Like somewhere, a game is going to fall below Riot in terms
Yeah.
of ethical monetization. Like
Riot's
I'd say,
definitely
yeah,
got it. Like they're definitely probably my favorite, you know.
absolutely.
Yeah. So
Like it's
anyway,
not like they
continue.
make their characters look like donkey butt, like, and then expect you to pay skins in order to not have your eyes hurt. They make
Yeah.
their character look good, obviously, because you couldn't do the other one.
And
But
they redo the oldest
yeah,
characters get redone all the time and they look
yes.
great. So yeah.
And they even go back and retouch the skins of
They
those
do. You're
characters,
right.
and
Yeah, they do complete
that's
visual
insane.
updates. Yeah, it's
Um,
cool. It's really cool. It's good for
yeah,
them.
it's really cool. They did a very similar thing with Legends of Runeterra. You could very easily make like 5 standard decks in Legends of Runeterra, just not even playing people, just playing the like PVE, like drafting adventure deck
Hmm.
version of the game, and then they monetize cosmetics. Uh, Obviously, that didn't end up panning super well for them, but I think that's kind of, they fell into a really rough design space that they couldn't like get themselves out of. I think that's what ended up happening with
Yeah,
Legends of
I don't
Runeterra
really know
turning
what
off
went
the,
wrong,
yeah.
but yeah, I know it did
I
go
definitely,
wrong though.
yeah.
But yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
you're saying
I think they just had balancing it. I think they had design issues that unfortunately put them into a corner. So I think that those are like our gotcha models that I consider less predatory. And a big part of that is that whether or not you can participate in the current event functionally, the current standard, the current multiplayer, the current meta, without feeling like you have to pay money in order to get there. And that's with freemium. Like I understand, like making it easier or better for players to pay money to do those kinds of things, and even making those kinds of things somewhat expensive for that first time purchase. If I paid $20, which is kind of the entry point price of of Magic Gatherings gem package, something along those lines, I feel like that is a perfectly like I've gotten $15 out of that game for sure. There would never be any argument for that. Um,
you play it a ton.
I played a ton, um, but Genshin and other gotcha games like that, I feel like what ends up being the defining factor. Maybe I'll just go for the jugular right here as far as why I dislike most gotcha games And it's going to be the same reason that Fortnite, for me, falls lower than Riot, is that they prey on FOMO in a very different way than just limited edition skins. They also operate on the rotating store system, to where, yes, you can get this character, but you have no idea when. Like, you have no clue when you're going to get this character again, when it's going to be back on the banner, whether or not it's going to be with characters that you like, that you could, like, well, consolation prize, I like this. Whether I think items are also involved with that. Like, you're not sure if you're going to get items that you end up
Well,
being able to use if you're rolling
yeah,
for that
kind of.
character.
Yeah, all the characters have signature weapons, and they only their signature weapon comes with them. So like, if they're not
Okay,
on banner, then their signature weapon is not on banner. The characters that are on banner are the characters with the weapons on the banner.
right. So like
So
the argument would be that it probably, like, if you get the character or a character that you end up liking, I feel like this is maybe a problem. I won't harp on this because I feel like that's a problem that doesn't pan out, like that doesn't stick around once you get a few characters where every weapon is useful.
mhm,
But when you're starting out, again, uh, the free to play model, getting a whole bunch of weapons that just aren't going to be useful because they're not signature weapons or whatever the hell,
sure,
it sucks. If that's what you're getting in roles rather than character advancements, materials, or just flat characters. And then you could roll forever, get weapons for that, like you'll get weapons for your 5-star that you're shooting for, and then just not get that character. And if you don't have a big roster, then those weapons just sit there and wait until you bust them for materials or find a character that can fit them, which just falls right back into the rolling for a character that you might want again. Um, and then expand upon that, the pain that they push you through for rolling items, the same way that Raid Shadow Legends like put you through pain to get the right weapon with the right attributes and hoping to roll high on those right attributes.
so you're just talking about relics now, but yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
guess.
not on banners. That's you can't spend money on or you can, I guess, but uh, it's different.
Can
It's
you
like
not
the
spend?
stamina is how you get those things.
Okay,
Anyway, continue.
but there's not like refills or whatever. Like, is it commonplace to get those refills, or is it like
Well,
is it just
whales get the refills of the stamina, so like you can get like twice as much stamina as everyone else if you're like a whale and you spend money on the resin. So you
gotcha?
can basically if you're spending unlimited money, then you can basically get like about 2/3 or like a little bit more than 2 times the amount of relics than like a free to play player, which is
Gotcha.
basically just like out of every month, a month that a free to play player is farming RNG relics, a whale will be farming 2 or 3 months of RNG relics, basically. But it's
Gotcha.
still random. And not very
Yeah,
many
and
people do that because it's very expensive and not really worth it. So not very many people
gotcha.
do that. But it is a thing you can do.
And that will probably end up being my complaint about like the main gameplay loop for Genshin, is that you're always farming those weapons to like incrementally increase your characters. Uh,
I've got pushback for all of this, but I want to let you finish all of your thoughts first,
yeah,
just
I'll
before we
wrap up.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think with well, I guess I'll wrap up touching on the $70 games, like the AAA and whatnot.
Yeah,
Because
please.
I
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the
because
point here. Yeah.
yeah, the rotating shop I feel like is definitely the most predatory, because I feel like that actively activates FOMO a lot more than limited edition skins.
Absolutely. I mean, there are
Uh,
characters in Genshin that don't come. Like, I love Shinha. She's one of my favorite characters, and she hasn't been on a banner in a year.
yeah,
Like a full ass more than a year. So like if you wanted her during this whole time, you couldn't get her. Even if you were playing the game, even if you spent $1 trillion, you couldn't get her. So it's
and
so when she comes back, what's gonna happen? Anyway, continue.
until they expand the character roster, like the number of characters that are on banners, it's only going to get worse because they're only going to add more characters. And then that also doesn't necessarily help because that just means that on a banner that is like, oh yeah, this is actually pretty dense with characters that I want to either upgrade or have, then there's going to be the dummy that gets stuck on there that you just don't want, and somehow you always end up rolling.
Yep.
Um, so that's how the like that's the nail in the coffin for me with those particular gotcha games is the like active predation on FOMO, not just the hey, you don't always get what you want, but here's some materials that could probably help you later on. It's the active, oh well, if you don't get this one, you're shit out of luck and you're already rolling, so let's we're going to prompt you, hey, you can get more wishes if you give us your mom and dad's credit card. Now, is that better than AAA? I think that the answer ends up being yes, because not of how like the pricing model that AAA does inherently, but rather the values that AAA currently has because of how absolutely tethered they are to like exclusively corporate interest now. And I say now, it's happened in waves throughout the gaming industry history, but
Right. Of
we're
course.
just like we're making games for stockholders exclusively right now, by and large.
Hmm.
And because of that, they have to hype up not just the fans of a game, but the stockholders. And stockholders don't know what a good game is, so they're only going to end up being sold on the size of the game and the graphics of the game. Like Days Gone, entirely a corporate project that was just, hey, I'm an investor in this company. I know that games like to be big, they like to look good, and they like zombies. And Days Gone is, hot garbage, messy hot garbage, bugged hot garbage that experienced a ton of employee abuse to get it to that horrible state.
Hmm.
Um,
I think the company shut down too. Like I
yeah,
think I
probably.
think that thing is gone, dude. Like
Yeah, I
it's a
think it
waste of
was
time.
like an actual shutdown for like
For real.
reasons instead of being bought and then closed, like the studio that made Hi-Fi Rush.
Right, yeah.
Which to that point, a game that did very well with gamers but did not excite stockholders. They
Yeah, it
looked at
just
that
didn't
and
do
didn't
well enough.
right. They didn't go, oh, this reminds me of the game I used to play whenever I was younger, Jet Set Radio, except now it's a little bit more fluid and it's got some a little bit more active combat. Wow, that sure does seem like it'll be fun. Sunset Overdrive, I think, had a similar thing. Like that was the only
Definitely.
Xbox One game that made people buy the console. Like PlayStation 4 won the console war hands down to the point where Xbox One had to like I say had they did graciously, I suppose, admit that they lost the console war and are instead moving to the like digital space. Is like, well, we lost on hardware, we lost on projects. Let's buy up all these studios so that way we can make games. And then stockholders got in the way. That's a whole other rabbit hole.
It's a different rabbit hole, yeah.
Yeah, that's a
We
whole
can talk
different
about
one
that
that's
later,
not
but
involved with
yeah.
pricing.
Mm.
Um, so if we're talking about those games, absolutely Genshin is better than that if you're just talking about raw value for your buck there. However, if we're talking about if you're a patient gamer, hashtag patient gamers, you can get those AAA experiences after all the bugs have been ironed out, after
Years
they
later,
have a
yeah.
chance to unshit the bed, wash the sheets, and put some Febreze on the sucker for less money, still supporting the studio that ended up making it for the game that actually turned out to get released. And that's the last time you're going to spend, like, that's the advantage that even the $70 games have, is that presuming that you understand the DLC or whatnot that's going to end up being released, which I think is pretty well, like, it's not like whenever we were kids, whenever DLC, like an announcement of DLC was like an actual surprise because they had no concept of DLC whenever we started
Right,
gaming.
now that they
And
advertise the DLC day one, like you
right,
know, you get half the game if you pay the $70, and then you get the rest of the game if you pay the extra $25. So like
right,
they advertise that shit on day one. So
right. And I'd probably complain about that a lot more if those games like very clearly did like weren't a game's worth of content from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? Like Dark Souls one, hey, here's $70 for the base, or not Dark Souls one, but we're say Dark Souls from software game.
sure.
Here's uh $70 for the base game, and then $40 for the season pass that gets you all the DLC later. Okay, well, nobody could ever argue, and this is definitely stacking the chips in my favor by mentioning From Software. Nobody could ever say that a From Software game isn't worth retail price when it
Yeah.
starts.
Which is why
You're
I mentioned them as an exception. Like, of course, yeah,
right.
there are some companies where I would pay pretty much any amount of money for for a From Software game, and that's like, and that's great, you know.
Right.
And I
And
think
if we're
that model
mentioning
is better than Genshin, or like better than Gacha models, of course.
yeah.
But
And if we're mentioning not From Software, if we're not cheating with that exceptionally ethical and talented
Well,
game
how about
studio.
let's do something like tell me what you feel about like studio what the people who do Cyberpunk and like The Witcher, those guys, the
CD Project Red.
yeah, CD Project Red. So like specifically like I think a really good example is something like Cyberpunk, where that game today is worth $70 100%. It's a fantastic game. A day one, and realistically 14 months later, that game was still unplayable. Like, that game didn't get fixed for years, but now it's great. It's a fantastic game. Everybody agrees that that game is amazing. So like,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Since I was patient, my view of it has not been tainted by the bad
Mm-hmm.
gameplay of the start, and I
Which
might
is
look at it next
interesting.
time
It's
it
a
goes
very
on sale.
interesting thing. Yeah, it's weird that so you basically you didn't get to be part of the hype at all. I guess
Yeah.
you don't play Cyberpunk anyway now, but I'm just saying, like, you didn't get to be part of the hype, which really just meant part of the drama for that game. But uh,
That's
you
really how it is,
you
though,
would get to
isn't it?
enjoy it now,
Like
though.
that's how it is for every game now. Like Elden Ring is the exception for games
Yeah,
that were not drama. It was just hype all the way and then got delivered. Again, because that's the exception. We're starting to get like eventually this will all bleed into like your questions later about why I'm a patient gamer.
yeah.
But if we're
You've been this way for for a long time, but
I can tell you
yeah.
exactly. I can tell you
Uh,
exactly when
what
I
game ruined it for
became
you?
this. We'll get into that with that. Whenever if we're sticking to monetization,
Okay, yeah.
talking about CD Project Red, I feel like the reason why so many people were betrayed with that was because their last game, like, wasn't that Witcher 3?
Their
Like,
last
wasn't
game,
wasn't that their
was it
game
not Red Dead
before?
Redemption? But
No, that's Rockstar.
that's Rockstar. Fuck yeah, that
Oh no, oh
my
no,
my
you got
nerd
too
cred goes
deep and
down.
yeah,
I'm not a big
you got
GTA. I very commonly get The Witcher, GTA. I get Rockstar and City Project Red mixed up a lot. I play GTA sometimes, but that's like the only one of the four games those two companies make that I play. So I don't play The Witcher. I don't really
I
play
appreciate you mentioning
Red
that
Dead.
because like Rockstar is going to be another really good example of games that are just worth it when they come out, just flat worth it.
It's
And
interesting.
we're starting to get into like why open world games kind of have that, or like you know open world RPGs. If I would consider the From Software also open world RPG. It's less open world. I feel like it's a lot more corridor than a lot of what you know
Yeah.
people market as.
Well,
But
I'd
that's a
say
bit
that's
different.
true
Like
for Dark Souls, but Elden Ring is super open world, and Dark Souls is
that's true,
corridor, but it feels bigger than anything else, So like it
right?
doesn't, that's just good game design. So it's like,
Right, and like that's the games being honest about what they're doing. Like Red Dead Redemption, the moment you get into a mission, it is corridor,
mm,
and they just use game mechanics to hide that fact, which is good. Like that's good game design. Where like hiding things from players is a good thing.
yeah, yeah,
Otherwise, you start seeing the jank. Um, but anyway, those games are good on release, and you can trust that their DLC is going to be good because you know that Witcher 3, and maybe this is partly in hindsight, but the reason why people were immediately invested in Cyberpunk was because Witcher 3 was proven to be worth a game with day one DLC promised, or season pass promised. It was proven to be that good for the base game, and then the DLC was also that good. CD Projekt Red, because corporatism and whatnot, shit the bed, and now they have to re-earn that trust, which is hard to do. Sometimes you lose it forever and create patient gamers. But like that's going to be why the pay for the game that you get on wholesale ends up being more moral for me than the gacha model. And then I think freemium, in the way of you get the whole game, but then people pay for cosmetics, is also going to end up being the more moral of the two. It might be more limited. I don't think it would be necessarily.
It depends on the game,
Yeah, it kind of depends on the game. Like, I'm imagining if Riot made an open world RPG, but then some
which they're
people
working on.
Yeah, I saw that. I didn't realize that was something that they were doing. But basically, I'm wondering, like Street Fighter has fighter. It's a fighting game. You get all the characters, and you also get the alternative costumes. Some of those get locked behind DLC and microtransactions, which at that point, if you're paying for a full game and then you're paying for cosmetics, that gets really gross in my head, especially if they do have that rotating sales. Looking at you, Call of Duty, Warzone, like the monolith of Call of Duty is now, not just a single game. That gets really iffy and nasty in my head, since you're paying for the full game and also not getting the cool camouflages or costumes. But I'm imagining Riot putting out an open world RPG where you get to dress up a character, like it's free. It's like, imagining it's on the level of The Witcher, but then it's free to everybody except the cool armors or whatever are paid for. Wondering if that would be worth it, and wondering if that would be non-predatory, and I'd have to say probably. I have to say very much yes.
I mean, it just kind of depends. So. Especially with Riot, because they'll make it to where, like, it's one thing if all of the cool armors are behind a paywall. That's kind of annoying. But like, they would probably make a lot of cool armors that are free, or that you get by completing a cool challenge or something, which is also fantastic. That's a great way to do things.
Same. Now I'm imagining if Genshin made something along those lines, which it looks like it might be, approaching that idea, or other games like it, like Wuthering Waves or whatever. But where it's like that, but then you have to roll for your characters and then buy cosmetics, and that starts getting and then you have the limited rotation, and then it's like suddenly these descriptions of games get really in the weeds. I guess, like, obviously Genshin already is the open world RPG, but I would definitely say that I got more out of Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2, even if I had paid sale price, than I would ever with Genshin, because what it's offering is just the gameplay loop of incremental progress rather than like an actual like compelling story. And in fact, they have to kind of shy away. I know I'm gonna, like, your Genshin fans are going to be upset.
I just got activated. Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, but they're literally incentivized to steer clear of any resolution, like any level of catharsis. If it is, like, it has to be simultaneously engaging and also knowing that it's never going to end anywhere. Because if it ends anywhere, the game's done. Or the justification for the game. I'm sure that the game would still stick around way after the story content's completed.
Right. Versus gacha games.
Oh yeah. So we're probably good with that. Was probably like a correct place to stop. That was probably a nice little bow for that question.
That's fair. I think I do want to just
for my response, like, you respond. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I was saying, like, that's a good place to stop. Yeah.
That's interesting. I like all your points. I think your point. I think it's really funny the way you basically said. You basically spent like half an hour saying, "Yeah, gotcha games are dog shit, and yes, they're better than a lot of AAA games."
Yep. Yep.
That's about it. That's basically the end of my. That's basically the end of my argument. It's basically what you said, and then took some more, jabs at gotcha games. And it's true that like a lot of obviously it's true that like they have a lot of predatory practices. My argument is their predatory practices are just not as bad as some of the AAA title predatory practices, including just releasing games that aren't even games. I mean, they're broken. You can't play them. So there's no Genshin Impact gives me, the voice acted content from characters I like every other week. And every month there is a big event where the story continues. And of course, like what you just said, you obviously a lot of these stories aren't going to end, but a lot of them do. Like there'll be a storyline that ends. Obviously Genshin isn't going to introduce a storyline where a character is going to live or die and the end of it be they die. Like that's not going to be something that Genshin gets. That might be something that Star Rail gets. That might be something that Star Rail or Wuthering Waves gets or something. One of those more like serious games, I guess. But as far as like ending something, they do end storylines. Farina is gonna go to a film festival and either win or lose the film festival, and that'll be the end of the story. Life and death stuff doesn't come up very often. You're right, but like that's not exactly. I'd argue that that's not what good storytelling is, though. So
I definitely understand where you're coming, because like the line that you had in the last podcast that was definitely worth holding on to is you need the stakes to never have been lower.
yeah, sometimes.
And I totally get that. That is not what I play. That is not what I play my story games for.
Sure, and I see what you're saying.
Like,
my argument is you can get pretty emotionally invested in some of the Genshin storylines. Like, I guess you wouldn't like all of them, of course, but like you could find some of them, especially if you found a character that you liked. All of their storylines you'd probably hold on to, And it's like,
maybe.
And it's kind of a royal you. It's not. I know you specifically aren't that interested sometimes. I don't know.
I mean, if we're operating on the level of these are side stories, these are side chapters in anime to an anime that will never end. And that's great. That's fine. I'm sure that there are compelling stories, and there will always be compelling stories so long as they introduce new characters. And some will be better than others, and there might be a string of good ones and a string of bad ones. I can grasp that that is what keeps people around for it. Boy, howdy, could I not be asked to do side mission after side mission expecting like only ever living the lives of other characters, especially in games that really focus on how important you are. Hey, we're going to we're going to make you, this random person from the stars, central to everything we ever do ever again. We will never let you see your brother again. Like,
well,
you will never be on the same side again, because that's when the game dies.
that's fine though. I hate the Traveler, so this is I would be happy if they never showed us their sibling again, but I think they're going to, and that is to everyone's detriment. But
I mean, probably because it keeps dragging on again, a story that could never end. The reason why you hate the Traveler and why the Traveler story is bad is because they keep insisting that it is actually the plot of the game, and they can never deliver on it. You must only go on dates with your Japanese princess girlfriend, because that's the only thing here that could ever make you happy. You can only save the city from an exploding time flood like dam because that's the only thing that could ever be interesting here. But then those stakes are too high because the odds are that time dam or whatever was damaged by your space sibling.
True. It's funny that this got brought up right now because I'm pretty sure that next patch, the interlude, like the Archon quest that's coming, we are going to meet our sibling again, which has happened in the past. We've spoken to our sibling once or twice. They just say some like, it's like a minute long and they say some vague shit and then walk off screen. So, it's not like,
yeah, I've seen this before, and it's the worst part of Kingdom Hearts. It's the most eye-rolling bullshit of games that I actually like, where you just don't understand the grander scheme of things. Walk, walk, walk. Well, man, that's only the fourth time that somebody on your side has said that while slowly walking away, as either I stand here gomless, or you teleport away, or a whole bunch of minions that I'm going to pretend, like my animation is going to show that I'm threatened by these enemies, but they are basically the same thing I've been fighting for the past 5 weeks because you don't want to invest into new models for enemies. Anyway.
And that's part of that's one of the things I like about these gacha games, dude, is that Genshin Impact, I feel like, yeah, you give them some money and then every year you get an expansion, and you don't even have to give them money, but every year you get an expansion, you get new character models, you get, or like new enemy models, you get new bosses, you get voice acted events with storylines that are awesome. I see kind of where you're coming from with the like it could never end and like it can't end, but I mean, so like I guess my argument is I'm just gonna use Game of Thrones. So like, is book 2 of Game of Thrones not worth reading because there's gonna be 8 books? Like I get that, like, yeah, the story of course has to last a long time, but that doesn't mean that like the story in between, not the Genshin, saying Game of Thrones in the same breath as Genshin storylines is like an absolute, like, that's a crime I just did. But I'm just saying, like, I get that it can't end. I get your argument. But that's like every TV show ever. So, or every book series ever. So like,
I disagree. Like, you feel like book series and TV shows can't end because you go after ones that either are never ending because the author's on forever hiatus writing for video games instead because somebody guessed the plot of his story and he fell into that trap of, oh no, I told the idea to a friend, so now that idea doesn't, like, I already told people how impactful this is to me. So now I don't want to
see what
it.
you're saying. I get your argument, and I like, of course, as a wannabe movie critic myself, I love movies and like limited series. Like I love limited series more than anything else, like in life. I love limited series that are like 1 season long and they get a really amazing idea and they just like tell it and then it's done. And of course I think that is like the most superior storytelling medium to ever exist, is a limited series. And I see what you're saying. I guess I get that argument.
And you can argue that Genshin just gives you a ton of those.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just a whole bunch of those. It's an anthology. You could frame it as an anthology of other characters,
especially considering there's lots of different writers, different bad storylines that don't really have anything to do.
Yeah, with a through line, but that's always going to be. It's always going to be tied to the traveler, because I mean, it has to be because it involves you at the best case scenario. You function as a little dolly for a camera that occasionally gets spoken to.
That's true. Yep.
But
unfortunately,
you can't just be silent because you have a breathy little weasel with wings following you.
Yeah, true.
Boy howdy, this sure is dramatic, isn't it? What do you think about this, traveler? Paimon doesn't want to be food about it because we have to make that joke every time.
Paimon is a plague. It's true. And honestly,
and you'll never be rid of her, like, because she's tied to your character, the camera. It's a little like wheezing child on top of the camera dolly that follows the more interesting characters.
True. True. Absolutely true. I think Genshin Impact would be at least, like, I don't want to over exaggerate. I think it would be at least, at minimum, twice as good if the Traveler just did not exist. Period. Like, if they just literally died the next patch and they didn't come back, the game would be at least twice as good.
And because
But
magic, you
yeah,
could so easily have that happen.
we
I
could
was
do
thinking
it.
about this with Star Rail. You could kill a character off in Star Rail, and then like once you get to that quest, if the player has that character, they just unlock like a slightly glitchy version of their character models. Like, oh well, this is a hologram. This is an android. Like this is a imprint of that character that you're playing now because that character's dead. And you can just do that with Genshin because magic and tech.
Yeah,
You can just do that.
we're in charge. Yeah, it's whatever. Okay, so in conclusion, you agree that sometimes, in some ways, gotcha games today, in the state of the gaming industry, they've kind of got a better value proposition dollar for dollar than a lot of AAA title games. You'll admit that. You just question the story quality, pretty much.
Especially whenever the like gameplay like the mechanics of certain characters, like having characters locked behind, meaning gameplay styles and like avenues of play get locked behind like a unpredictable, unscheduled rotating door that creates FOMO. I do dislike that.
I mean, I dislike it too. I think
Yeah.
I'm not
And
arguing that
I
that's a
think I
good
dislike
thing.
it to the point where if you're a smart consumer about AAA, and not just in the I'm going to wait until like 5 years after the game comes out kind of way, um, but in a I'm going to pay attention to what studios are proven and take bets on which game is actually going to be worth it on release using that. I feel like with that, it ends up being less like gotcha becomes more predatory than those. If we're talking about the industry as a whole, then fine. Like there's enough drama coming out of AAA games that just don't deliver day one
Mm-hmm.
that gotcha games can fight on. But
Okay.
it's
You
kind of
just
like
made my
saying,
brain feel good. This is fine.
yeah,
This is good.
you'd rather by and large have a batter in baseball. The only reason I'm using this analogy is because my boss paid for a baseball ticket for me recently.
Okay.
You'd
Okay.
rather have a batter that hits you to first every single time they're up than somebody that takes like brings out a stick, like just a normal stick, and occasionally hits a grand slam every like 12 years.
Hmm.
But there
That's
are
worth
a
like 6
couple
touchdowns.
batters that are reliable to get a home run or just better than first base.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's basically what God, I hate sports, dude. But yeah, the From Software is like, they're obviously the best. Like
Yeah.
From Software, Larian Studios, something like that. Like obviously, I think they're even better than like Riot or something. Probably, if I'm being honest. Like I would rather
Oh yeah,
spend
for sure.
$60 and get as good of a game. Like the quality difference between, and just the stuff I like the difference between Elden Ring and League. I like Elden Ring more, and I would spend money on Elden Ring. You know, that's a better $70 spent than the $70 I've spent on League skins. I've spent hundreds of dollars on League skins, but we don't have to talk about that.
I
The
could never.
I League has gotten all of my money over the years, but and I think they earned it. They're good at it. It's good. But yeah, I think everyone agrees that like From Software or Larian Studios, like those people have it the best. They're definitely the best money you can spend as far as gaming goes.
Yeah, and I'd probably pitch my hat in with Rockstar in that like reliable scenario.
If
I
you
know
say
that I
so. I
have.
don't have a ton of experience. I just have GTA 5 basically is the only game of theirs that I've played a ton of, and
It doesn't help
it's
that
fine.
their best game series in the Red Dead Redemption 2 is Cowboys, and you don't like Cowboys.
I hate cowboys. Yep. A
So
cowboy just came out in Star Rail. It's really
I know,
these are
which
dark
is
times.
it's also super lame because that is the least cowboy I think
He's
I've
a
ever seen a
cyborg.
video game cowboy. No, I don't care about the cyborg
What
crap.
what a
I'm talking about the fact that his hair hides the fact that he's wearing a cowboy hat half the time. Like his art doesn't even have the hat on him; it has it flying off of him.
damn.
I
I
don't remember if I talked to you about this or with Camry, but I think that there are so many designs that qualify as cowboy more than that cyborg.
damn.
So many
That's
more.
rough.
I think it's a genuinely badly
He,
designed sci-fi cowboy.
he's got a, that's crazy to hear because I think he's a pretty good cowboy because I hate him so much because of how cowboy he is. But yeah, interesting.
I want you to relook at Magic the Gathering and their wizard cowboys and tell me if any of them fall below that cowboy. I guarantee you none of the wizard cowboys will fall below that cowboy.
I see. Interesting.
Absolutely
I'd have
none
to
of them.
look. I I can't get over his accent. Dude. He's got like a super thick southern accent, and he someone hacked into his cyborg brain and turned off his ability to curse. So he says like mother fudging, like you son of a nice lady. Like he says those things and cowboy like
Can
southern
he get
accent, and it's hilarious, dude. I really like it. It's really funny.
I don't. That feels like such a LARP. Like son of a nice lady. Like
He says that. He says
I
that.
yeah. There's definitely a level of Christian Protestant like saving yourself from swearing that does happen with the Southern genteel and the Western genteel. Um, but boy, there's nothing that makes me more pained than somebody just like vamping. Like if they're trying to dress up themselves as Southern genteel, I'm not going to cuss because the Lord frowns upon it. Son of a nice lady. That's so forced
Well,
compared to
I
like
guess
mine. I would be a perfect model. Is God Dickens, consarn it. Like there's so many that are already there. You don't have to make some up to role play being a cowboy.
my argument, what I like about it is that he complains about it, like, and I can hear it in his voice. Like the voice actor's pretty good, and it's like, it's not that he doesn't want to cuss. He wants to cuss. He's upset that the things he says aren't cuss words, and I
Okay,
like that. Like I
all right,
like the
yeah,
like.
that
It's
tracks.
not that he's trying to be, pure. It's he's actually mad and actively like looking for the person who hacked him, which is probably Silverwolf, which is just another character, and it's just really funny to think about. Anyway, I don't care about Cowboys. I want to move on from this, but
I do care about cowboys, and
oh no,
that's why I'm so glad that one of the good studios releases cowboy games once every 12 years.
true, yeah. I guess we can move on to the next topic here, or next one of my topics. Uh,
For sure.
unless you have
I
final thoughts, yeah, well, on
I do not.
monetization.
I was wondering if you wanted to get exposed here. If we're going to do that, like if we're on a roll with the games, we could definitely do that. Otherwise, I would just expose you
You
with
just go
your
ahead.
anime shit.
You can expose me. Go for
All
it.
right,
What do you want
sure.
to talk about? Yeah. But
Yeah, okay. Because
this is our segue.
this could probably because I've seen how long we've been talking.
It's a long
This could
time, yeah.
probably make another episode if you want it to be easy one day.
It's okay, dude.
All right.
What's up? What do you want to talk
So,
about?
as a Genshin fan,
Uh-huh.
would you consider yourself somebody that likes anime?
I mean, I think I have to say yes nowadays, right? So yeah, yeah,
That's a pretty recent thing, isn't it?
yeah. About I've been playing Genshin 14 months, and I liked anime 3 months before that. So yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
about 17 months of anime consumption under my belt. Yes.
I want to expose the fact that while like I would normally call you very media literate,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a fucking clue why you like anime. You don't have a goddamn idea.
It's surprising a little bit. Yeah.
it's
I
it shocks me how media illiterate you are with anime because of how little you could actually ever explain why you like any of it.
Yeah, it makes my brain feel good sometimes. You know, that
That's right.
that's how it
It's
goes.
so
Yeah.
it's so awesome because like I want something like that. I want something that I could never put a finger on why I like it
Yeah.
to the level that you do. Because me and another friend tried getting you into anime like forever.
Oh yeah, I mean a lot. Yeah, absolutely. You and Lawson especially, and then I'm sure that there's someone else that tried to get me in.
Dino was another.
Dino, yeah, and Dino showed me a couple things. Oh, I wonder if Dino would want to be on the podcast.
I'm
Anyway,
sure he probably would.
yeah. What are you saying? Continue.
I wanted like, do you remember the like suggestions, like the 2 or 3 anime that you say, yeah, I actually like this. If you find more stuff like this, that's not like Japanese. That's obviously hyperbole. That you just didn't like the storytelling conventions that were like popular with
So
anime
you want
in
the
that
ones that
time.
I didn't like, or the ones that I
No,
did
well, the
like?
ones I want you to tell the audience which ones you told us. Like, hey, I like these. Look for anime that's like this.
Oh, I see. Well, I'd say the biggest culprit that you're gonna like call me out on is Castlevania, because I liked
Mm-hmm.
Castlevania back when I hated anime, and
Right.
you were, livid at that. Uh I think,
Because it's
and
very
honestly,
good. It's
there's
a
not
very
that
good
many.
anime. The
Sorry, yeah, continue.
no, you're good. The argument being like, go for it. I wasn't. I just wanted to say that I wasn't livid that you like Castlevania because it's very good.
Yeah, that's very. I'm trying to think of the ones I liked whilst hating anime, and it would be like Castlevania, and there's an anime, Blood of Zeus, on Netflix. It's
Mm-hmm.
basically Netflix animes, like the Castlevania Blood of Zeus. There was one for Dota. So
Yeah.
Dota had, I forget what it's like, Blood of the Dragon or some shit.
Yes.
Dota has an anime on Netflix that I loved
Yeah.
until the
Season
very
one of that
end.
was really good.
Season 1 was great, and then they ruined it like the last episode, because the last episode was like, oh, we were about to have a conclusion to a fantastic story. That would be terrible. We really need to push this into season 2. So they just did that instead. So yeah, and
And
season
then
2 was
season two
awful.
wasn't good. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just, yeah, oops.
I feel like
Um
there was a Dragon Age one that you had favorable opinions
oh,
of.
Dragon Age does
That
have
was
an
more
anime that
recent
I
though.
did like, but that was a little more recent. I probably did
Okay.
like anime by then.
And
But
can you remember what particular critiques you had about anime that that like you knew that you wanted us to avoid? If not,
yeah,
I can eventually listen, but I want to hear like,
hear it
hey,
from
I
my
like
mouth.
these, and I definitely like the ones that you've suggested so far. I don't like this. Try to avoid this.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think. I think the biggest offender in my mind, the one I think about all the time from the dark times when I hated anime, was uh Death Note. You and Dino and everyone else in my life who loves anime all came to me and said, like, Alex, I know you love these, you love drama series. Now, I do love serious drama and stuff like that in like live action shows. I love drama. You should watch Death Note. And
The
Death
correct way
Note,
too. We told you to avoid this like second half where it shits
oh
the
yeah,
bed. Like you
I
had the
stopped as
best
soon as you told me I
possible.
could.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had experts. I had like experts on the sideline, like monitoring my progress, and they told me to stop when I should, and I did, and it was terrible, and I hated almost everything about it. What did I hate about it? You're asking.
Sorry.
Uh, Monologue is terrible. Wait, and not just monologue, I guess all their dialogue is also terrible. So it's like all their dialogue is actually monologue in disguise. But you know, it's like somehow Death Note had the Dragon Ball Z like explaining how they're doing their power-ups in their dialogue to each other. Like I don't whenever you're sitting there explaining how you came up with this idea that is completely convoluted and like 16 levels, is like the Rick and Morty joke. Like they have like a heist episode talking about how like all heist movies are bullshit because it's just like a million levels of convoluted like just absolutely contrived nonsense. That's what all their dialogue is. They're just spouting out nonsense, talking about how they came up with these ideas about how L or the other one like caught each other. And
Right.
they say that to each other. Like they say those things out loud to each other, and it's awful. I hate the dialogue.
Okay.
I also it's not like the art is like that bad, but I don't like some things about it. You know, I don't like the dark haired guy, not L. What's the other guy's name?
Well, there's Light, which is the like main character, and then there is L, the
Oh,
detective, and then
okay, L
there's
the detective. Okay, yeah, L the
yeah,
detective. I
yeah, that
didn't
gets a
like
little
him.
bit
He was
weird.
quirky and random, just like me, for real, in too many ways.
Look at how I sit
Um,
on this chair. Ain't I autistic?
yeah, absolutely. That was about the time I started I watched Death Note around the same time I came into my SJW phase in life. So like I had been completely turned around, and you know, I actually, you know, liked women. So my reaction to that, his girlfriend who would die for him, made me like physically ill. Like I hated that character so much. I cannot even start to describe. Anyway, and
It is super cringe.
it is super cringe. And it's not like any of the themes of the story were actually that profound. So like let me try to think of a theme from Death Note. Like power corrupts. Okay, that's great. That's really deep. I hate it. Like I don't need to spend 20 episodes, you know, like it, I don't know, other themes. Like so if you have absolute power, shouldn't you use it to protect the meek? That's an interesting theme, sure, I guess. They did it not that interestingly though. You know, my argument would be don't use a teenage boy to try to convey that theme. I don't know.
Yeah, the
I think I
drama
might
was
have
definitely
lost
a
the plot
lot.
here.
Maybe a little. Which okay, so you hate Death Note, one of let the record show the most beloved anime up until
Oh
the end
yeah,
of the first half of the
absolutely.
season, because of the interplay and like Sherlock versus Moriarty kind of thing going on from the perspective of Moriarty. Um, Very beloved, and to kind of drill down a couple that you hate stilted dialogue,
Yeah,
and
the
if
dialogue is
I
a big part of it.
and like a big part, like I also we had recommended Full Metal Alchemist original and Brotherhood.
I
You weren't,
watched a bit of it. I watched
yeah,
like,
and you
oh, I'm sorry, continue.
no, you're good. You weren't like a big fan of like the veering off it would take into comedy, where like suddenly they become chibi. It's like baka, idiot, all this, just the like how corny it would be out of nowhere,
Yeah, some
and you,
corniness. Yeah, is
yeah,
what I didn't like Full Metal Alchemist for other reasons, but yeah, some of that corniness stuff I also didn't like. But of course, that has a big part. Has grown on me though. I have kind of turned around on that
yeah,
in the
I would say
romance animes at
so.
least.
Because another factor is that you really hate low important story, or hated low important stories, especially if they involved like high school age children. Like you hate coming of age stories. You hate stories having to deal with youths like coming into their own. Uh, just because you find youths very painful to watch. Like kids are stupid and you dislike them.
It's an interesting accusation you just threw at me.
It's
And
more. It might have changed, but that is something that you have directly said to
yeah,
me before on media
it
that you
is
like.
something I've directly said to you, and I think
Like
that
if we
anime really
recommend
has.
Sandlot as a coming of age story, you're like, fuck, I hate Sandlot because it's a whole bunch of kids doing shit.
Yeah, I'm not a giant. I'm not a giant fan of Sandlot.
All right,
It's true
now
that
real
like in
quick.
some things. Oh yeah,
No, you're good. You go ahead. Expand on
in
that
some
first before I
things.
slam dunk your fucking head into a melon.
I guess I would admit that I am a little bit of a hypocrite there because there are some kids there's some storylines where I cannot stand the kids, and then there are some storylines where I can, and that would be some of these like what you're probably about to say is like a bunch of these romance animes are about high school kids, and for some reason and well, not for
Yeah,
some
there's a
reason, we
different
know
level there.
exactly the
Yeah, we know
reason,
exactly what
unfortunately.
Japan.
but
We know it's in your vending machines.
but you're right. It's basically that sometimes I can't stand kids, and sometimes they're okay. Like, never will I ever prefer children protagonists, but I don't. Sometimes I don't mind them, especially in anime. Pretty much only because that's the only option, you know. So that's
Right, right.
that,
And they get code.
unfortunately,
They get
but
coded as a lot older
absolutely,
for other
yeah,
problematic reasons.
yeah, that's right. So it's like sometimes uh, uh, I am personally pretty loosey goosey with that, and I understand as you as an outsider trying to recommend to me things, it's probably pretty frustrating whenever I say like, no, I don't want to watch that. Those kids are really annoying, like in Full Metal Alchemist. But
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
then I go and watch something else that has kids as the protagonist, and you're like, wait,
Oh
what are you talking about, Alex? Like,
yeah. So let's reiterate. You kind of get a little bit bored with the stilted animation styles that are frequent in anime, especially with like stills where only the mouth flaps are moving. You
sure,
hate
I care about
stilted
that a lot
dialogue.
less now.
Right, right, right. I'm listing. This is a list of your crimes. We're not
Oh,
judging the
okay.
severity here.
Okay. Yep.
Um, you hate stilted dialogue where characters are just like monologuing around each other or at each other to the point where there's no actual dialogue. It's just people thinking and or saying their whole thing at each other, kind of like
Yeah,
what I'm doing
that's
right now to
very
you.
anime. Yeah,
Um,
they open up a podcast in the middle of a fight scene. It's disgusting.
they you hate stories with themes that aren't really well explored or really don't have like an actual purpose or like anything interesting to say,
Yeah,
and you hate youths doing like acting like their lives are so like absolutely important to the world right now to the point where like the immaturity frustrates you. Like it frustrates you the same level that like a super immature adult character would, but
yeah,
because they're kids, they get written as all of them are doing that, and you're surrounded by characters like that.
hmm. That's probably
Real
true.
quick, what's your opinion of Food Wars, you fucking psychopath?
I love Food
How in the
Wars.
world could I have
Yeah,
ever gotten food like you? You and a friend of ours, partially for maybe mostly for smut reasons, really like Food Wars.
yeah, dude,
But
I
boy,
love Food
howdy,
Wars.
the amount of fat that you need to get to that bone is so vast. It's so bad. I want you to say I like Castlevania. I There were some stuff of Death Note, but it really wasn't that good. I like the Dota anime. Uh, the next thing I'm going to end up liking is fucking Food Wars.
Yeah, so
You set me up for failure with that, man.
yeah, I did not make it easy for you, I'd say.
Food Wars is literally like an anime that I like. Me and Dino would talk about. Is like, there's no way he'd like. I see why he dislikes anime. I mean, have you seen this one called Food Wars? Yeah, it's the smut in it is kind of fun because they clearly research their stuff a lot to invoke the idea, but he would hate it. And then
Redacted.
comes in saying, "Hey friend, do you want to watch smut with me?" Boy howdy, did you take all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your like favorite anime right now? I know the answer.
So my favorite anime right now. Well, my favorite anime right now is probably like Fruits Basket, but you want me to
Yeah,
say you
exactly.
want me
You.
to. Oh, okay. That is
that's
the one
that's
you wanted me
exactly
to
what I
say.
wanted you to
I
say.
thought you were
Just
about to try to expose me for
literally,
Kakaguri again, but yeah.
literally
Yeah.
just well. There's definitely that's another like Kakaguri is like never touch grass man's death note. Um,
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate.
but yeah, Fruits Basket. Literally, the entire gist of it is to like all the characters calling each other idiots. Meanwhile, most of them are young, and then there's one that is really hopeful and talks at them about things that ways that they should change, and then they monologue in their head. Huh, she's right. I did need to do better, and I
Well,
have
they
done better,
did,
and I'll continue to do better.
and some of them did do better, and some of them didn't.
Kimika.
It's emotionally engaging, dude. I love so. It,
And the story about two brothers who lost their body trying to resurrect their dead mother isn't.
true, accurate, dude. Like I felt nothing. I hate that. That is definitely the anime I would point out as the one where like juvenile intentions ruined it. Like I cannot abide for it. Like I cannot stand those characters. They disgust me.
Absolute,
Like
absolute. Saying on record that you hate Alphonse and Edward
yeah,
as
on record.
juvenile and immature characters
Yeah.
is so incredibly baffling. With you will get anger from this when people
That's
end up
fine.
watching these.
If anyone actually listens to this and they get to this point, dude, if you want to fight me on Full Metal Alchemist, I want you
Don't
to
do
know
this.
I
You're so
stopped
wrong.
I stopped watching that series on like episode 7, 8, 9, or 10. I don't know which one exactly it is. It's the one where this 16-year-old boy wanted to like the first half of the episode he's talking about how God doesn't exist and only idiots believe in God. And then the latter like part of the episode, he's talking about how maybe God does exist because he witnessed a birth or something, like some
Yep.
woman
Okay.
gave birth and he's like, "You know what? Actually, maybe God does exist." I, so basically what
That's
I'm telling
such
you
a
is
that's such a weird way to introduce that. Like he goes from, hey, person who's being violently abused by a preacher that's claiming to create something out of nothing, but is instead using a cursed material that requires we're just going to go ahead and spoil it since you don't watch the thing. Human sacrifices.
okay, I assumed that. Yeah, okay.
Okay, yeah. So this guy pretends that he's creating stuff out of nothing, and I have like that clearly can't happen in our materialistic world. I'm going to show like that's stupid that you believe that. And I don't know this now, but later I'm going to learn that not only was it not created out of nothing, it was the most amount of sacrifice taken just to show off. And then his revelation, they're like, well, some things are kind of coming from it. Like something intangible is happening here. Something metaphysical is happening here because a woman just gave birth. This is somebody eating more food and putting her life at risk to create a brand new life. That is not equivalent exchange in the least, which is how his entire life is wrapped around. To say, because he doesn't mention I believe in God now, to say that he now believe like now he's had a theological experience where he was an edgelord and now he's a devout like a potential like what else could possibly be other than God is so wild of a take, and it baffles me how media literate you are with everything except anime.
Here
It is so wild to me.
okay, so my point is I get all of that and I think it's stupid. That's the like like it's not that I don't get, obviously I get it, it's a punch in the face, like it's a like it's ham-fisted, that's what we call that. So like I don't, like it's not like I don't get what this kid is doing. I, I, I don't know what you're saying, I guess. But
I'm saying that I will be, because the way that anime structure and dialogue is, anything that will, like, any justification you will ever be able to give for why you dislike uh Full Metal Alchemist will always apply to yourself. It's ham-fisted. It's so blatant. They just say it and act like they've made a subtle point. Meanwhile, it's, you have to be nicer to your brother because he was also mean, like he was also abused, and everybody just needs to be nicer and love each other together because in reality, this is all that you ever have, and my mother's dead.
true.
Again, I love Fruits Basket, but we're talking about ham-fistedness. Like, look at how abused I am. I'm living. Do you see how abused I am? I'm in a tent next to a picture of my dead mother, giving all the money that I earned to my grandfather, who's then having it stolen from by my in-laws, who are the reason why I'm in the middle of the woods, almost under a landslide. If it had not been for rats in a storm, I would have been crushed. Boy, howdy, doesn't this have some subtle hints about familial abuse?
You don't get it. Yeah, you don't get it. It's metaphorical. You don't understand. Yeah,
Yeah.
You just don't get it.
Meanwhile, another anime goes, man, like, I know that body came from somewhere, but something metaphysical in the realm of consciousness is going on. And also, we're roughly World War II, World War I era Germany analog. So I have no idea what could possibly be going on here, except for possibly more chemistry. Isn't that special? Isn't that so different from our world where you can only get what you give?
You're right. That is quirky and different and random. You're right. Just like me, for real, for real. I agree.
Sure. You can undercut it all you want.
I will.
But you'll never be able to run away from the Full Metal Alchemist fans.
I think I will. I think that
you're just going to have to get out of Genshin.
Do they have a Death Note? I don't. I listen.
If they did, you'd know about it.
I would know. I'd be fucking dead. I don't know, man. Anime really is very hit and miss with me, and honestly, sometimes it is just kind of a mood thing. Like, I was about to give an example, but they're probably, I can't really think of one, but there are probably examples of things that are like just as good or probably better than some of the stuff I like that I just don't like because of the way I feel right then and there, you know? And sometimes I have enough in me to like forgive like bad dialogue or something, which is something like Kakegurui benefits from this. Kakegurui has dog shit dialogue and they monologue all the time, but it's like I'm willing to forgive that
for the BDSM.
For the BDSM especially. But so like it's like you got to give me enough to forgive the stuff you're trying to take away from me, which is my brain cells. And like Death Note and Full Metal Alchemist try to steal too many of my brain cells in exchange for too little, you know? It's not an equivalent exchange.
You cannot.
Kakegurui gives me Yumiko Jabami and then takes my brain cells, and I'm fine with that. So it's like that's a good exchange.
I think it's fine. So incredibly telling that, like, in order to make, like, you clearly agree with the, like, that the idea that it's an interesting way to convey story or meaning because you're using it unironically. You're like, what's the best example in order to describe you get what you give and you need to decide whether or not that's worth it? Oh, right. I'll use this anime where that's the entire fucking, like, underlying understanding of the world.
Yeah, I would say that
And a philosophy that they fight against. Like that's a huge factor there. Like
do they
it
fight against it? Interesting.
yeah, we could make a whole other podcast talking about how they like take the and Ayn Rand, whatever, the libertarian psychopath lady that BioShock just stole from
Oh, geez. Okay.
and made fun of. How they take that worldview and then go, right, but like some people are willing to give a lot more than they get out of things just because they care about people. And that's super inspiring.
That's
That goes
really.
for Fullmetal Alchemist Original and Brotherhood, which I would argue because I know Dino tried to push Brotherhood
I
because of
think
the
I watched
animation was
Brotherhood,
yeah.
but
That's
I don't
another big
remember.
issue. That's a big issue. This is where I'm going to get strung up by Brotherhood by Full Metal Alchemist fans. But Brotherhood had a lot of time to make itself more like a mainstream anime, and Original was a lot closer to the manga for the first part, and kept kind of a consistent tone. It was a lot less of the suddenly break out into chibi stuff.
Sure.
I feel like it was a lot more consistent tonally and story wise, a lot more concise. It's still a big anime, but a lot more impactful.
You like it more.
I do. I
Yeah.
do. And I know that there's a primacy bias there, but at the same time, there's a lot of extra stuff that they put in Brotherhood to make it look cool, and I could not be asked to care about an anime exclusively for the fight scenes.
I agree.
Dragon Ball is
100%.
almost there, but their fight scenes are also for the most part dog water. Uh,
I
unless
love to
you
hear you say
watch
that.
supercuts of them, which like supercuts of anything is going to look way cooler.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Naruto's
it's
probably the
literally the
only
highlights.
yeah. Naruto's probably the only show that like an entire fight is interesting up until Shippuden, and then some of them start to really drag.
Hi.
Don't
That's
worry,
great.
I'm
Yeah.
not. You can take my word for it. I know
Yeah.
I'll
Let's.
never
Yeah.
be able to get you into Naruto.
Yeah. You will not.
Naruto's way too much of a western. Like it's too slow paced. Your little tablet kid brain could never.
It's hilarious to hear you say that, dude. Like, I am a slow burn enjoyer. What are you talking about? But
Yeah,
anyway,
but uh, the
not
only
an anime. It's got to be good for. It's got to
that's what I'm
earn the
getting at.
slow burn.
Yeah. Uh, Naruto season one, or like the first series of Naruto before it goes into Naruto Shippuden, definitely earns that.
Yeah.
Shippuden has, again, we get more into the mainstream issues, but there are definitely some anime that I'd never recommend because I know even now that you are a fucking normie now in in anime,
Don't
that
call
it
me a
just wouldn't be
normie.
up your alley because
I,
it's
I
not enough
love
BDSM.
I love some crazy shit. The niche
You
romance
you're
shit.
so fucking vanilla that you think it's crazy.
Nah. No, okay. Um sure. You're right. I
We'll get into that off the podcast.
yeah, that's probably a better idea. I don't
Soon you'll show me your true form.
you can ask about my true power. I cannot reveal my true power on the internet. But
Right.
the I've actually lost my train of thought here. So, what's your favorite anime of all time? Hit me with it. What's your
I
favorite
think it'd
one?
probably be Full Metal Alchemist Original.
Interesting.
I especially if you include the final movie, Journey to Shambhala. Um, that actually ties it. Like it actually gives like a little bit of a more like classic ending bow onto the whole thing. Um, I really fucking like Full Metal Alchemist Original.
I guess.
Uh,
Oh, I'm sorry. Finish your thought.
no, another runner up would be Angel Beats, I believe, but upon rewatch, I feel like a lot of what got me into Angel Beats was thinking was going to be like a basic normie anime, and then it really gut punches you at the end. Unfortunately, you stop like at the peak of normie anime, and now
Hmm.
the gut punch stuff is happening.
Yeah, I haven't
And
gotten super far into it,
yeah, we're
unfortunately.
right at the halfway point where the gut punch stuff is starting to happen. It was really sad because you were so clearly tired of it that I feel like you actually talked through, like you were sitting there explaining to us why you don't like this because it has no emotional impact as the emotional impact shit was happening.
Oh boy, did I do
Yeah,
that?
I feel like that
Yeah.
one. Unfortunately, you went in bad faith, and that might have ruined it for you.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, it's one of my favorite animes of all time.
I might have to give it another chance. Like, I understand that Angel Beats is like kind of an exception. So like I'm willing to give it a shot. Like I like the idea of it, you know, and I've liked some of it. It's just that I do think some of it is pretty cringe so far. But
It's definitely
yeah,
cringe
I
for
haven't
sure. Like
I haven't finished it obviously. So
it is so entirely 2007 meme humor that it feels almost like a nostalgia. It feels like going to like, gosh, what was it called? What Funny or whatever,
mm,
or OMG Funny to look at the most recently posted memes on
oh
on the high
boy,
school computer labs.
the Philosophasaurus,
The
nice.
Colossus, yeah, the what condescending Wonka, like seeing what the latest condescending Wonka meme is. It's so on brand with that level of humor that it goes for a nostalgia trip. I feel like if we did like a couple of the emotional episodes of the center and then just skipped forward to basically the climax of the anime, you'd actually see why we like it.
That's fair. I've watched a handful of episodes, and I don't think it's dog shit or anything. You know, we stopped
No,
watching
it's
that. To be fair to me, we stopped watching that because it was like a group project, and like all of our friends couldn't get there at the same time. So it's not
that's
like
true.
any one of us decided to stop watching. It's just that like it was hard. It was kind of hard to get us on the same schedule, and that lasted a little bit too long. So now it's just
Right.
dropped because too many
Yeah.
people were involved. So it's
There's
like
also the
yeah.
factor that like three of us, four of us saw it whenever we were like super emotionally vulnerable as teens. So we remembered it as super sad. So we were like, you have to be okay before you watch it because otherwise we can't guarantee if you're going to be okay after. Uh,
Yeah.
that probably also didn't help.
Yeah, probably not.
Side note, this probably isn't favorite anime, but this is one that me and the girlfriend very much like. Kotaro Lives Alone. Very good slice of life that is also very sad.
I see. Yeah. Isn't that's done by like a big studio, isn't it?
I don't know.
Okay. We don't have to look it up now. It's whatever.
Too late. Let's
Oh,
see.
too late.
Well, I thought so. Let's see. I mean, it is released. It's by Linden Films, premiered on Netflix. I don't know what
Hmm.
all Linden Films is.
Interesting. It premiered on Netflix. I mean, not a
Yeah,
lot of anime premieres on Netflix. Netflix
yeah there
doesn't
was a.
own a
Oh,
lot.
okay. They're the ones that made Berserk. Wow, they're the ones that made some stuff for Berserk. Jeesh.
Oh, okay. That
Well,
must be what I'm
then
thinking
yeah,
about.
they're at least somewhat known.
I see.
Oh, they
No.
made Rebirth. That makes sense. Okay, so yeah, they are a big studio.
Interesting. I must have been thinking about Berserk.
Must have.
Which
Yeah, Berserk and Rebirth. Honestly, after seeing that Rebirth is on there, that makes a lot of sense.
hmm,
The main character looks just like very similar to a character in that. So
fair enough. Kind of lost the plot here a little bit, but so Full Metal Alchemist is pretty much your favorite anime. What do you think about like have you seen, I don't know, Demon Slayer or Jujutsu Kaisen, like any of the other like the animes that are meant for the young boys of this generation? Do you have any thoughts on those?
I've got some thoughts. Unfortunately, I have partial. I kind of abandoned anime. Anime kind of uh, got killed for me by the Fate Stay Night specifically,
I
but the
see,
Fate
yeah.
series.
Which is
Um,
really hilarious because I consider those to be pretty much on the same intellectual level as like Death Note or something like that. But yeah, continue.
mm,
Yeah,
we
try
could
to defend
we
that.
could go so much. Okay,
No,
well,
no, no,
sure.
wait,
If
don't
there's a
actually
if
try.
there's a moment in Death Note, and I guess technically there is post halfway point. Um, Fuck it. The anime's been. If you spoiler warning, if you've not seen Death Note
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
you're less a child and don't have access to Netflix yet, this brief spoiler right here, after L gets killed. All right, after that, now we're back in spoiler-free territory. After that happens, then the writing does go off that rail for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely didn't happen before then. Yeah.
I would no, because I honestly, have you seen Fate? Have you seen Fate? Have you watched
I
Fate?
I have not watched Fate at all.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I've seen some clips on
boy
YouTube
howdy,
shorts.
boy howdy, season one of The Rings of Power it's so much like Game of Thrones season one.
True, true.
No, I know I haven't watched. No, I haven't watched season. No, I have not watched Rings of Power, and I also didn't like Game of Thrones. So,
To be
um,
fair, this would be like I watched Game of Thrones. uh,
right, like you
In a
said,
way.
it's like you watched. Yeah, my analogy was correct. You're slow. Um,
Ah, yeah, 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 yeah.
Fate had a moment, and unless I'm very much misremembering it, one, the rules get changed all the time, and the characters simultaneously know that their fight for their magic wish uh, is like not going to work. Like they know that the item, like the holy grail that gives them their wish for fighting in this shit, is corrupted, and that's going to twist their wish genie style. But they're still fighting for it and not going to change their wish at all. Aside from that very stupid, glaring thing, they also have instances of dialogue where a character will go, "Ah, man, we're really novices in this. And it looks like these are some of the most powerful warriors that have ever fought in this match. We're going to have to team up." So you say you're wanting to team up? What? Who said that I'd ever want to team up with you? Fucking
Nice.
shoot me in the head.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah,
That sounds like an average anime dialogue
comparing
to me,
that
but yeah.
to comparing that to all right. Now, my acolyte that has followed me because I know, like, because obviously there's going to be acolytes in a death cult. Fucking look at the Republican Party. My acolyte slipped me a page
No.
on my way back from the police station. So now I've regained all my memories just as I planned, just in time to have him save whoever from another death note holder. So now they get extra life, and they're going to give me the eyes to see the name of my detective, just as my detective has come to the realization that none of any of this could have happened without some connection to me. Heart attack. So fucking wildly different. Now, I will say,
I didn't see the difference there, but yeah,
yeah,
continue.
that's cool. That just means you're illiterate. And I will say that you at least get some inkling of credit for not saying what you were about to say and then thought better of, comparing Fate to fucking Full Metal Alchemist. Um,
Yeah, I
because
mean,
I heard the hesitation there.
yeah, I mean,
You'd have
it's
been
not
so
exactly the same
incredibly
thing.
wrong. You would have been loathed. This
I,
podcast would have never gotten off the ground.
I probably like them about the same, but
I mean, that's
that's
fair.
that's different though, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, because somewhere out there, somebody likes season one of Game of Thrones and Chernobyl the same, while their preferred media is Lazy Town. Like, so somebody out there is saying how amazing the first two seasons of Bluey is compared to Game of Thrones before they ran out of book material, and arguing that they're right.
Dude, I watched
Um,
Three Body Problem just like yesterday actually, and that
Oh, that
was
came out.
that came out and is done by, or like the showrunners are the same showrunners as Game of
That's right.
Thrones.
I remember you being really nervous because this was like a huge big book series, and Dan and Dave got their grubby paws on it.
Yeah, and it was okay. Like it was okay. It was the
No,
best I could give it. Like
they still got book material.
they had book material, yeah, and the book series is done. So like
Yeah.
you know, the whole series is done. I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. I heard a lot of really good things about it. I've actually, this is not very topical actually, because like this came out like weeks and weeks and weeks ago. Like it came out probably more than a month ago, and yeah, I've heard a ton of really good things about it by people I respect, and I don't really agree. Like I don't really think it was that good, but I'm also super biased against Dan and Dave, so it's kind of hard to say. So I don't know.
Right.
Anyway, continue.
So to go back onto your actual topic of what is your opinion of the modern like shonen style anime? I have opinions, but I haven't watched a lot of it. Like I said, because anime kind of got killed for me for a little bit. From the worst examples of what you didn't like of anime.
Yeah, I would agree that Fate is probably the worst of what I hate about anime.
Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. But I have not seen any of Demon Slayer. I kind of stayed away from Demon Slayer because I didn't know if. Let's put it this way: I didn't know if it was going to be the real creepazoids that ended up being like into that anime. Because when you get introduced to it, the first thing is like an 8-year-old girl that has a like bamboo gag in her mouth. And the argument was, well, it's because she's possessed by a demon and she can't bite humans because then she'll go full demon monster, and that's part of what we're trying to stop. Okay, that's the justification season 1. Let's make sure that people and the mangaka aren't fucking weirdos. Turns out it's not, so there's a chance for me going back into it, but it just kind of missed me. I'm also not. I love the aesthetic of it. I also just wasn't grabbed by the like lore reasons of, yeah, they're demons and there's a secret order that fights demons. It's the same reason why I didn't get grabbed by Jujutsu Kaisen. Is that the name of Jujutsu?
Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah.
Jujutsu Kaisen. I always say jujitsu, thinking that like I'm clearly wrong. I'm just saying the name of a martial art.
Yeah, for some
oddly
reason
enough,
they've
it
got
is
this
just that.
Brazilian martial arts thing, but yeah.
Right.
Anyway, continue.
So Jujutsu Kaisen, very similar reasons why I didn't get into that. You guys were watching it, and I liked it. I really liked the evolutions that have happened in the modern shonen anime, and that's where we'll get into My Hero. I haven't watched almost any of My Hero, but I've watched a lot of like anime YouTubers that have talked about stuff. It's like, hey, this is why you should watch it, and I think that the ideas that they talk about are really interesting. I don't know if it's the same scenario where technically the ideas in Dragon Ball are really interesting, except you have to watch Dragon Ball in order to get them.
Oh no, yeah, shit, dude.
I think it's not that. I think it is better than that, but I'm always wary of that.
I wouldn't know. I
I
haven't heard anything about My Hero Academia.
Right.
I'd stay away from that one.
Right. I like side characters being capable and powerful. That's one of the reasons why I really like Naruto. One of the reasons I disliked Naruto was the fact that the mangaka could not be bothered to write a genuinely interesting female character until Boruto, which is so many seasons and writings
That's what
later.
I heard. Or
Um,
I obviously I'm not a Naruto fan, but I do know that the pink girl is not exactly a feminist icon.
Yeah, she could have been. She was set up to be, but you could tell that the writer really preferred to talk about Naruto and his Lancer, Sasuke. If there's any, if it ever ends up coming, is Naruto and Sasuke Naruto.
Wow.
It's a meme. Um,
That's
he
great.
really liked their story and could not be bothered with Sakura. Uh,
Well, she's a woman, so
yeah, there's definitely an argument there. He made other good female characters, but some of them like literally had the Dragon Ball problem of they were competent fighters, but then they got wifed up or girlfriend up, so now they don't do anything
of course,
except have babies with the main characters.
as they should.
Uh, but supposedly Boruto, the idea like Boruto ends up where I think his daughter gets the like superpower that made him so cool, and his son, the Boruto, gets a different power. So she might be turning into a really interesting character. We'll see. But I like side characters that have impact and have capabilities. Naruto was fantastic with that on all of its side characters. Um, Jujutsu Kaisen, Jujutsu Kaisen. I did it again. Jujutsu Kaisen, very similar. I think I remarked the night of. It's like obviously I came in kind of in the middle, but the Lancer character like genuinely understands the capabilities of the main character, and that's super cool to see some like the Lancer not go all fucking Vegeta on shit and acquiesce is like, yeah, in raw power, he's got us beat. And if we're going to have a chance, we need to like teach him how to actually use that power and give him the respect he deserves for how determined he is. Love
Hmm,
that. Love Lancers that aren't just being piss ants. Um,
sure, that's I can agree with that.
yeah. Uh, and My Hero Academia kind of has that, but it kind of flips it on its head. My Hero Academia is very literally kind of framed around the idea of the next generation of uh, Shonen Jump protagonists being taught by the previous ones and how those dynamics change after generational traumas get healed and people become better, just as people do over time. Um, to the point where there's still a Lancer character that's very Vegeta in My Hero, but there's also a uh, other characters that could probably fit that role that definitely go in the I'm tough and I'm angry. I guess they would be called the powerhouses. I was bred for battle, and I'm still coming to terms with the fact that my father very clearly abused my mother. And then the main character, instead of beating them and then being all like, but you understand that you don't have to be evil. It's by and large, everybody's wanting to be good people, just like in real life, and they're struggling with like how hard that can be sometimes. And sometimes it just takes a genuinely good person being nice to them in order to see like, fuck, maybe I can soften up a little bit. Um,
Real life does that to you sometimes.
Sometimes, but that being said, again, this is all from people telling me about these stories, so I'm kind of getting the most rosy-eyed version of
Yeah,
this, except for
I have no idea
Jujutsu
what you're talking
Kaisen.
about, and you have no idea what you're talking about. This is
Right?
crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, I have,
we're
I have,
glazing My Hero Academia so much right now. Sorry,
I
continue.
have
Yeah.
the story. Yeah, I have the like crystallized form of the story that happens from the like actual fans of the show. Um, and I don't have enough negatives about it. I just know the themes that people are seeing in it. Uh, and so far they seem pretty engaging. I was trying to think of anime that like actually survived the Fate Night Massacre. Um, I guess Beastars was in that rung. I kind
Yeah, I
of
remember you
I
just hyping that up a little bit.
Yeah, it was good. I feel like it's one of those that it has the Zootopia problem where it's at least in the US in America it's easy to get the coding as like racial disparities and violence, like racial prejudices.
Mm.
But then the group that's being prejudiced against is literally people that used to eat others. It's the same problem that like Will Smith's movie Bright had, where yeah, like the orcs are the clearly oppressed minority, but also they did serve the devil.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than real life racial
Yeah,
politics. Just
right.
slightly different.
Oddly enough,
Yeah.
it's a bit different compared to we're going to kidnap you and then also make you the bad guy in our story.
Yeah.
No, what was? Oh, right, B stars. And talking about how the politics get missed. So yeah, it's just not that good of an allegory if you're going off of the U.S. coding. If you're going off, obviously it's Japan, so you're going off of that. It's people getting set up with labels based on what they're born as and kind of fighting the castes even with natural disposition. And I feel like that's a much more compelling story. I feel like there's a bit of like U.S. egocentrism that can taint B stars if you're not savvy enough to go, oh wait, this isn't for me, or this isn't it made for me. It's so easy to, well, it's in English, so num 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 mine.
Mm.
But obviously, it's not
Yeah,
in English first.
I couldn't watch Beastars, unfortunately. It's just not really the dialogue, even from the trailer, is just like I can tell I'm just not really not gonna be a fan. Respectfully.
It definitely pulls into the edge. I mean, there's a kid that fights the mafia that's lions before they like sexually suggestively threaten to eat a person alive. So yeah, it's not for you.
Wonderful. God, I wanted to do this ZZZ tier list. Fuck. We're gonna do it.
Yeah, that like odds are I'm going to at least touch ZZZ Zenless. I'm at least going to touch Zenless, and
Yeah.
We need to go with Zenless because if it becomes ZZZ, then we have to listen to all the bridge people go ZZZ.
Yeah. We have no room for the ZZZs in this country. I'm fucking American.
It's Zenless or Zone Zero. Either one of the two.
So we're gonna do a tier list, obviously, about how hot these characters are. So let's do that. There's this. I don't know the names of these characters, unfortunately. So let's look up this, and then we'll need a third tab.
Loading screen for your website. That's amazing.
For
are we in fucking 2012 again?
Oh, I need to turn on my. There we go. Okay, so characters. Okay.
All right, so you're already on characters. It looks like they separate them by class.
I need their names so that we can go look at.
Well, scroll farther down.
Oh, here they are. Okay. So
this how websites work.
Yeah, here we go. Okay, we figured it out. This is my favorite character so far.
Which is tragic for you because you are not a furry lover.
I really am not, dude. I'm not gonna be able to beat the allegations. I can't fucking spell, but this has been my favorite character.
If you're putting this on
far.
YouTube, you're gonna have to be real careful about typing in the character's name, going to images.
Well, it's fine. This isn't my main browser, so we're good.
Well, fuck that. You're gonna have to blur shit on YouTube.
Oh, that's true. Shit.
Fucking idiot.
What? Hey, YouTube is or Google is what like if it was NSFW it would blur it out, right? So hey, that's Google. It's on Google.
Maybe. Well, we're on Opera, so maybe not.
Oh shit, you're right.
You're so stupid.
Anyway, this is my favorite character.
I mean, I definitely like her. I would put her in an A. Look for the giant fucking ears.
Here she is, yeah. So I'm gonna have to override you and put it into S.
Oh, is this a shared tier list for us?
Yeah, it's gonna have to be.
Okay. Gotcha.
You're
budget
right
cuts, man.
In that, yeah, we just cannot afford to separate this. You're right in that I'm not gonna be able to beat the allegations, dude. I don't understand why like Yai Miko from Genshin Impact is like one of my favorite characters, and she's got these stupid fox ears. But like, I swear it's not true. It's not because of the ears. It's despite the ears. You understand?
Dude, I get it. They're like the ears indicate personality. Fox girls get a certain angle. That's why RL is going to continuously like shark girls, despite the fact that he definitely is not a scaly.
All right, so
Uh,
Sakuka,
I
I
don't like her
think
as much, but I do like her. I do like her in a certain way.
I
I feel
agree,
that
and I've
she'd
seen some
definitely be a good hang.
gameplay.
I mean, are we? Is this just for hotness?
Yeah,
Okay, we'll put her at B.
I don't understand. We can't really do anything other than hotness, right? Where is she? Hello?
I think it's the one that looks clearly like a man. That right there. I mean, the horns.
Is that it? I guess so. Yeah, I think I'm fine with B. I think that like on a good day she'd be higher than that, but
Right. Like if we end up seeing NSFW art
yeah, I'm sure the NSW art is S tier. Ben
and bigger,
Bigger. He's so
I love
big
his
too. He
name.
is a lot
I'm
bigger
kind
than
of
the
a
other
math nerd,
characters.
but that doesn't stop me. I feel like this is why because we do get bios. I feel like uh
He's got a strong body.
well, strong body and like he's also dorky. Like you
Ah,
know
yeah.
he plays D&D.
Ah,
Uh
yeah, yeah.
I mean he's a literal fucking bear,
He is a literal
not
fucking
even like
bear.
hiding that. I'd put that D as far as attract like hot.
Oh, oh, I see. I thought you were. Wow, we've really reached a crossroads here. Hmm.
Are you more attracted to a
Uh,
literal fucking bear?
Listen, like it's about the idea of things, dude. So like,
I
yes
get it.
and no.
You've already mentioned Baldur's Gate 3 plenty.
That's right. Of course, exactly. It's about the themes here.
Right.
You want him in D tier?
I mean, if we're talking about hotness,
Okay,
like
so like I'll try to beat my allegations by agreeing with you and saying he can be at the top of D tier. That's
yeah, I was gonna say
fine. Okay.
I'm not a furry. Also, are you kidding me that this literal just a bear with a shirt is
Anton Ivanov. Yeah, let's move on. I think I don't know what this guy's about. You know, is he leads others in his passion for work, energetic and reliable. Ah, so he's a overworked, goody two shoes waifu who's actually in a gang. Okay, I think I get it already.
right? Yeah,
Um,
this art it gives me Bakugo from my hero, which is Explodey Man. Well, I think it is. Maybe it's not. It gives me Explodey Man vibes, but the bio reads as the main character from Food Wars. A
mm,
main character from Food Wars is a solid A.
he's awful. I hate the main character for Food Wars, but he's not attractive. I think it's this guy, by the way. I think he's
No,
got
it's
it.
not.
Is it not?
That
Oh, is it
that's
this
the
guy?
Deadpool character. Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah, I messed it up. It's this
God,
guy. All right, I have to
my
disagree
your
with you and
eyes.
say
Are
he's
you
less
wearing your
hot than A.
glasses? That's
Yeah,
fine.
he might be bottom of A. That's probably fine. I mean, he does like. I mean, look at him. He is kind of hot. So like, I can't like disagree with that. But I just feel like I'm gonna hate his personality. So this chick, hmm, I do like the hammers. The small girl, big hammers is kind of cool. But she's quite.
I don't know. See, this is a problem. Again, if we're going with hotness, like this character reads like my best friend and also the best friend of the bear, not the least of which the fact that she's like clearly uh, in his industry. So he's got
Yeah, I
his
believe
branding,
so.
and her name
Yeah.
is almost koala.
I will be calling her Koala for sure.
Um,
Um,
so she has too much sister energy for me to give like, oh man, she's so fucking hot.
well,
But I
that's
feel
not
like
very anime
she's
of you, but yeah, okay. Yeah.
I feel like that's we can put that above the dude. I feel like it's still low A tier.
Above the dude in A tier. That's probably accurate for me. I agree. There's no way she's not on the same tier as someone else. You know, like she's not hot enough to be on any tier that's
Right.
actually hot.
This is I feel like top of A, possibly yes.
no. See, this is the problem, is that I'm not a furry, so I don't actually like this guy that much, but I see what you're saying. Like, I'm here for it. I get what you're saying.
I definitely so.
Where is he? What does this look like? How does that look like to you? Could we put him behind the human? Can we put him in B tier?
I feel like if we put him in B tier, all of A tier goes to B tier.
Oh my god. What an awful thing to say.
Because I like right. I mean, real talk. I think our S should be empty right
now. All right. Well, you see, the issue is Miyabi's my favorite character, so we have to put her there. It's not a like
right.
yeah. Okay, so if you're gonna invoke the you demand he's higher tier, that's fine.
I mean, I don't demand it. I'm just thinking that like I don't know if he's that far below. I don't know if he's that far below A, like our other two in A. We can keep him there. That's fine.
All right, that's
you have to fight the furry allegations somehow.
And this is definitely I'm willing to fight it on this front.
Over me on how hot just a bear is.
Yeah, well, moving on.
Look, that's fine. He gives me a shot.
Too young,
too minor coded. Well,
yeah,
unranked,
just not
too minor coded.
Too minor coded. D tier. Let's see here.
There we go. Literally bears and children.
Yeah, bears and children.
Unrankable. Don't like it.
Mana. I don't like this art very much, but
yeah, this also. God.
I saw the teaser trailer for this character.
This is the problem with doing yeah, I know you did. This is the problem of doing this shit with Genshin, like Hoyoverse characters, is because all of them are so minor coded.
Some of them are. It's true.
If we're imagining this as a Pokimane, like petite gal, like clearly this is an adult, then she goes top of A.
Top of A.
There are petite ladies. I get it.
There are. Yeah, are those real cat ear? I think that they are. Obviously,
I think
there's real. She's got real tails, so they're probably real.
I think those are cybernetic tails. I will say, because they got like plugs.
That's well.
Wait.
True.
Oh fuck.
Oh
no.
I'm gonna have to argue with you a little bit. I gotta put her at least bottom
definitely,
A, maybe top
B. She definitely goes above the Wolfman and the Bakugo.
You think so? Oh wait, above the Wolfman and who?
The fucking like definitely.
So so I'm arguing the construction girl is hotter than her. I do agree. I think the construction girl is hotter than her for sure.
Well, yeah, I do end up disagreeing with that, but I think that at least the construction girl's less minor coded. So
okay, that's fair.
Very happy to keep it that way.
Some Spec Ops,
fucking adult.
Spec Ops generic waifu that is an adult.
I like her.
I do.
I think she goes above the Wolfman.
The problem is, it's like this girl is like the problem. It's like they're the same people. What is this? It's actually the same character.
Which what are we? Time skip rules. Could be robot clone rules.
She's yellow, so it's this girl. Okay. Yeah. I want to put her there.
I'm fine with that.
She's probably the hottest of all these. Pretty much just that's it. Yeah.
Definitely the one that makes me feel the least skeevy.
Then this guy, Cyborg 6-pack.
I love the marketing with him because they managed to pull him off as a Deadpool character so well.
I see. I haven't seen a ton of his marketing. I hate that his name is Billy. Respectfully to all Billies out there.
Well, they're pulling off. That makes sense because they're pulling off of Cowboy Billy the Kid.
Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, they're pulling off that. I'm fine with top of B.
above the blue girl.
Actually, below the blue girl.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
below the blue. I think you're right. Yeah. Below the blue
Yeah.
girl. He's fine. He's not that hot though. You know, he's cool.
Right.
He's not very hot.
Yeah, like if we're talking like it's like Deadpool, Spider-Man, or bees as far as like
Yeah.
hotness in the costume. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is A.
This.
Well, no, this is S. This is.
I was gonna say yeah. So this is obviously the
This is the
hottest
Nerf,
character.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I
kind of
will
hard to
say
argue against
I
it.
do think that they got unnerved. Either that or they're just like
Right.
the 3D models that I saw from a guy that posted a video like 3 days ago definitely looks closer to this than what we saw, which was not immodest, by the way. But
Right. I mean, they got nerfed to. Yeah, they didn't get nerfed that much.
Yeah.
And B, Damara. I feel like
she's right below the soldier girl.
yeah, I feel like in the game, like in reality, I'm gonna like this girl more than Soldier 11, but this art like isn't very flattering, so that's just kind of how it is. I think I agree. She's just like right there. What's going on? Oh God, is that it? Did I skip some? I skipped some people.
Yes,
Okay, so
did.
there's this girl.
I think this
Okay.
is the girl that got for sure buffed.
She is quite an attractive lady.
The animation, like turnaround, like her turnaround animation on the character select screen is wild. no amount of overall material should ever bounce like that.
Neuron activation. I'm
Yeah.
this monkey, dude. This
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. Go
Holy
up,
moly.
right in the middle there. Yeah, that gameplay showcase. Up. Yeah, there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's her in-game model. She for sure got. I do not remember her being that absolutely built, because whenever we saw the pink girl was definitely the most built. That one is built.
We'll put her at top of S. She's definitely the hottest character.
I agree.
Then we've got Alexandria, a maid lady.
Yeah, but a good one.
A good maid lady.
Well, yeah. This gives me like
puppets.
Lisa vibes.
And she definitely, I know, I remember her like animations. She's like flies around and she's like an electric witch that like a storm is going on. She like shoots lightning all over the place. It's pretty sweet.
I mean, I think she's an S tier. I want to put her above your waifu. I kind of want to put her above Pink.
I don't think that I disagree with this too much. I think that's like, what does this girl really have over her? I mean, a 6-pack, I think, is what she has over her. So respectfully, yeah, it's gotta be, it's gotta be that way.
Yep.
Shark Girl. I really like Shark Girl. I know that Jesus, what's her name? Ellen Joe.
They're so painfully like trying to be American names.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on here, but
so painful.
I like her. She's got a weird tail, but I like this vibe. What?
I just think she's neat.
Yeah, I think her character model is so cool. Character design is cool.
Yeah, she is dope. See, I feel like this is why I feel like our A tier should have been in B, because I feel like we're starting to get like see that so many of these are S tier. Like, I think we're running out.
Where is she?
I don't think that there's enough pictures.
Well, what the hell?
I think that the person who made this doesn't care about this as much as we do.
Oh, I shouldn't have done that at all. Oh, jeez.
Oh no. Oh no.
Oh, jeez.
Wiped?
No. Okay, so we've done that. Okay, now we duplicate the tab. can I add a picture?
Yes, you can. Choose files. Down below. Lower. Choose
Ah,
files.
okay.
Side note, I do think that might not actually be one we. Wow, that was quick. Okay,
Can I?
easy.
Nice. That was easy. Fuck yeah. Okay. Uh,
I'm willing to say she's above the maid girl if you want to. I think I
I
like
want
the
to.
maid
I
girl
like
more.
her a lot.
Yeah.
She.
I think I'm imagining the maid girl dressed up as Lisa.
Is that what you're?
I feel like that's what's happening here.
I see. I
I
see.
look, I am a shameless Lisa like devotee,
Right. You're the Lisa
which
man.
sucks that she was so early introduced because then she just got dropped. But
Yeah. Well, she didn't get dropped out of our hearts.
right,
I get it, dude. I am with you, dude. I think Lisa's great. People sleep on
I think she's
Lisa.
so cool.
I feel like I haven't seen this girl. I don't know her.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I feel like she's an A. I feel like she's above Koala.
I think that you're right. I think the A tier is probably fine. She's pretty boring. Above Koala. Which one was is Koala the construction
Yeah,
girl? Okay,
yeah,
yeah. I think I'd put her above. I'd put her above these characters on it. Maybe just this one.
maybe.
That's fine. She's boring. These characters are also boring. This doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
Um, is that it? I think it is.
they're
I think we've made maybe a slight mistake with the blue girl. There's really like not very many hot guys in this, if I'm being
Hoyoverse
honest.
has issues with anything like all the hot guys in Hoyoverse, with the exception of Ice Prince in Genshin, look like the same fucking dude. Like
I
you could tell me
see
that
what you're
Construction
saying.
Man was like an alter ego of Diluc or like a cousin or
He
something, and I
does look like the
would
Luke.
entirely believe it.
All right, so let's do some reorganizing here. I
I
think
so obviously we don't see the rabbit character at all.
a rabbit character.
So look at the profiles that we have left. Like
Oh, this is like yeah, this is like the there's like a
mascot.
little it's like pie like a little Paimon type thing. I think
Okay,
this is
well
the main character. I forget what the
I see.
which they're not very attractive. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, see, that's the orange. That's the orange figure that you saw.
Yeah. There's like
So,
different versions of this thing
so
too.
like,
I don't.
yeah.
Yeah.
So our the Grenader gal is the wrong pick.
Oh shit! Is that the main character? Oh my
That's the
god,
main
it
character.
is. Yeah. Okay. What's the grenade?
Might as well see where she fits.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Here she is. I mean, she's cute,
She is cute. I feel like she definitely goes in A.
at least for sure.
Honestly, as far as hot dudes, the main character dude is like he's boring, but he's at least attractive. I'd also think I'd put him above Koala.
Above Koala.
No, maybe above Dilute Cousin. Yeah, that feels right.
I want to move this girl down. I don't like this cat girl, but I don't know. Let's see.
I mean,
Who,
the problem is again, like I feel like we could very easily move Koala Girl from Wolfman down to B, and then the other two down to C.
I think I agree. We need a new gatekeeper for A tier. Okay, gatekeeper for A tier is this girl. You got to
Yeah,
be hotter than her to get into A, or as hot as her to get into A tier. I
yeah.
agree, I like this more.
It
Okay.
feels way less Hoyoverse like glazing. Oh man, look how amazing! All almost all these characters ANS.
Let's see here. I don't regret our S tier.
I don't agree with our I don't regret our S tier.
Other than Miyabi, but I
Yeah.
get it. So yeah, we
I
need
mean,
this girl. What's her
Grace
name?
Howard.
Grace Howard.
Grace
I
Howard.
know what picture to get. It was right here.
Careful,
Where
you're
is
not allowed. You're not allowed to be straight on the internet. Hold up, there to the left by 2.
Oh, there it is. You're right. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted.
Um,
Nice. Okay.
I agree. You're not allowed to be straight on the internet anymore. They bully Joe Cat off
Oh
Twitter
no.
or off of YouTube. You're not allowed to be straight on the YouTube anymore.
I'm trying to not be that straight. The Hoya versus make it hard, dude. They've got me. The best they've got is this fucking bear, dude. Like I don't. What am I supposed to
The
do?
best they got is the bear.
Okay, so the best they've got is this guy. I mean, what do you want me to say? You know, they're all dog shit. What?
Yeah, except for the bear.
I think the
that's
blue
all that
girl
we.
shouldn't be this low, but
Yeah,
you don't think that the wolf guy should be this low. So like, I think that
mm,
this is
I
probably
think I. You know what? We can swap. We can swap them. We can say that Wolf Dude's top is C. That's fine. I feel like that part, like I feel like that was also helped by the art. I feel like the dynamic pose was a bit better. This in-game model looks a lot more just like a fucking dog.
yeah, that might be true. I might be wrong about this guy. I feel like he's gonna be. I don't even know, dude. I don't know how to beat the allegations. I think he's gonna be attractive. He's not that. I can't. I don't
He
know, man.
fights with kicks. He's going to end up being hot.
He fights with kicks. That is the problem. He's got big kicks.
He's got.
Okay.
He does the Star Wolf thing.
So this is fine. I don't. That character's fine.
I also, yeah, I get your hesitation with that one. I think that the police officer one may be gatekeeper of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. This is good. This is good. I'm way more comfortable with this girl and B.
I was gonna say, and that's fine.
Yeah.
As just she could not be lower than Wolfman.
That's fine. Yeah. I like it. Okay. This is cool. This can be our final thing. Okay. Let's wrap this up.
All right.
Final thoughts. What have you got? What have you got to say? How do you defend yourself after this podcast? What do you regret most about saying tonight?
what do I say? What do I say to my critics? What do I say to the haters? What do I say to justify my truth? You're probably close to being absolutely unsavable with trying to figure out what you like in anime. I think that rotating shops are sickening, and the only thing that's more sickening is abusing your workers and your consumer base. The game that killed the hype train. We'll get to that later. I will get to that, next time, I guess. So I'm not going to tell you what it is. From Software is probably the most ethical studio out there, at least as far as like how it treats its customers and how it was willing to engage with new ideas that are experimental and outside of what it's quote supposed to do. And I think that's pretty well all the important shit taken care of.
I see. Okay.
Skip the second part of Death Note. If you're the newbie that didn't know the ending of Death Note, skip the second part. It stops at the climax. You'll know when it is.
Which is what you told me.
And I was right.
You were right, and I got the stop, and thank God.
Just imagine how much you'd hate that show if you actually watched the stuff that made it bad.
Oh,
the stuff that actually made it almost unworth watching.
Whatever, dude. Fruits Baskets greater than Death Note. Easy peasy. I think everyone agrees with that. My conclusion. That's my conclusion. My conclusion is Fruits Baskets is the best. And if you've got to fight me on that, kakiguri is the best, but that's like if you're arguing
What a
that fruits
wild
baskets
swing.
can't be the best because of like categories, then kakiguri is better than whatever category you were trying to incite anyway. So it's like
What a
those are my
wild,
two.
what a wild swing. I mean, that opinion definitely makes sense that we ended on talking about how hot abs, shark girls, and maids are.
True. All right, that's going to be the end.